हाँ जी दोस्तों, क्या हाल है, क्या हाल है, क्या हाल है। अ वेरी गुड मॉर्निंग टू यू ऑल गाइज. हाउ आर यू ऑल डूइंग टुडे? हाउ आर यू ऑल डूइंग टुडे? Sir, before you start writing, I'm doing well, I'm doing well. Let me just tell you that I cannot see your chats right now. I cannot see your chats right now because for some backend issues, I'm not able to log into my portal. And because I'm not able to log into my ICI portal, I am not able to see your doubts immediately right now. But the team is working in the backend and they will be giving me the access soon. And then I can see your doubts. Until then, क्या है, तुम लोग लिख दो गुड मॉर्निंग, मेरे को मिल जाएगा. यू डोंट वरी, यू कैन जस्ट राइट डाउन योर गुड मॉर्निंग एंड आई विल गेट इट. डोंट वरी. Yes, guys, yes. How are you all doing? How are you all doing? How are you all doing? Okay. Okay, guys, what are we doing here? Why are we here? What are we going to do here? So here I am to teach you a very important and a very interesting chapter, the Negotiable Instrument Act 1881, 1881, 1818, 1881. Sir, 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 कंपनीज एक्ट को भी इतनी इज्जत नहीं मिली थी तो वर्ड यूज करके, पर सर नेगोशिएबल इंस्ट्रूमेंट एक्ट को दी नेगोशिएबल इंस्ट्रूमेंट एक्ट कहा जाता है. ऐसा है सर. Or I have just written it. Don't worry, I am not here to teach you in Hindi. I'll be teaching you in English only. But there is nothing I can do. थोड़ा थोड़ा हिंदी निकल जाता है. Okay, okay, guys. Before we start our today's chapter, let me just quickly let me just introduce myself. My name is Shubham Singhal and I am a chartered accountant. तालियां बजते रहनी चाहिए. My name is Shubham Singhal and I'm a chartered accountant. I had cleared my CA final with an All India rank 4 back in November 2018. And I have done my articleship from a firm called Deloitte Haskins and Sells, which is a big four, and I had done my articleship in Mumbai. And I am here to teach you a very important chapter, which is the Negotiable Instrument Act. Now, before we get started, let me just quickly tell you one thing, that these notes that which I'll be teaching you from today, this note is uploaded. No, it is yet to be uploaded in your ICA portal because मैं पुराने वाले portal में जाके upload कर रहा था. So I have uploaded it wherever I have to upload it. Okay. So once we are done with this class, I will be uploading this on the portal. Do you get it? Do you get it? Yes, sir. Sir, what are these notes? What is this note? What are you showing on the screen? This is a note which we will be learning from, and this note will contain the 100% provision of negotiable instrument in the shortest manner possible. In the shortest manner possible. Now let me just check with the team. एक बार मैं तुम लोगों की chat देख सकता हूँ क्या? If yes, then I can get started. Sir, can we see the chat now? Can I log in now? Ram sir? हाँ, मेरे को chat पे दे रहे हो. Guys, give me a minute, huh? Okay. Yes. Until then, guys, before I start seeing you, can you all just quickly introduce yourself? Quick introduction. Can I see you all? Okay, I can now see you all. Good morning, guys. Yes, these are the messages that I was looking for. How are you, sir? It's really amazing to start morning with you. Fabulous teacher. Thank you. We are here to enjoy the lecture. Somesh. Hi, Somesh. Hi, Jaspreet. Can I tell you something? Yesterday, I posted a video wherein I interviewed Mr. Parth Shah. Who is Parth Shah? Parth Shah is one of our students. He had taken batch in the last batch of ICI. He had taken classes from us and he had secured an All India rank 15. So he was saying, sir, it was he used to take the ICI batch. And he used to be very active in the class. So every time I wanted to take an example, I used to take Parth's name because he used to be there on the screen all the time. Like every question that I'm asking, not asking any time he's there to answer, right? So Parth was here and he secured an All India rank 15. It was very entertaining. It was very nice to take an interview with him. And हाँ हो गया Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Yes. Yes, guys. Yes. So, Parth's interview was very motivating, sir. I know, guys. I know. So the point is that अपने को रैंक लाने के लिए हैबिट्स बनानी पड़ती है. We have to build habit. We have to build habit to get a rank, and that's an amazing thing to learn from Parth. Now, sir, coming back to our today's class, what are we going to read today? Negotiable Instrument Act 1881. नेगोशिएबल इंस्ट्रूमेंट एक्ट 1881. अच्छा, ये बताओ, पहली बार मेरे लेक्चर्स कौन कौन सुन रहे? हाउ मेनी ऑफ यू वुड बी लिसनिंग टू मी फॉर द वेरी फर्स्ट टाइम? हाउ मेनी ऑफ यू वुड बी लिसनिंग टू मी फॉर द वेरी फर्स्ट टाइम? कम ऑन. Oh my goodness. So someone knows me a little better. He says, sir, you used mobile in your law class, and we are using mobile to attend law class. Oh my God. Very good. Oh my God. Okay. Okay, guys. Okay. Now, guys, let's start the chapter. What is this chapter all about? Negotiable Instrument Act. Sir, नींद आ रही है? Okay, let me just tell you, this chapter can come up to 10 marks in your paper. And if any question of this chapter comes, you can very easily score. If it comes for 10 marks, you can very easily score 7 to 8 marks. तो जो सोता है वो खोता है. You can either sleep or read. You can either have excuses or results, not both. So उठ जाओ और मेरी बात सुनो. What is Negotiable Instrument Act 1881 all about, sir? Let me just explain what does the word negotiable means. Can I say abhi ke liye, can I just tell you that negotiable means transferable. Negotiable means transferable. ट्रांसफरेबल एज एन नेगोशिएशन मीन्स अपने को क्या लगता है, वो जो अपन कुछ खरीदते वक्त करते हैं. व्हाट वी फील, भैया दूध कितने का दिया? 10 रुपीज. अरे 9 रुपए में दो ना. That we think is negotiation, but this is not that negotiation. This is a different negotiation. Here, negotiation means transferable, and instrument means any document which shows rights. What, sir? What did I say? Negotiable instrument में negotiable means transferable. Instrument means it is basically a document which shows rights. So, for example, there is an instrument. I don't know what the name of this instrument is. There is an instrument. Instrument as in a document. A document shows that Shubham Singhal has the right to own a horse or something of this sort. Now there is a document. This shows that Shubham Singhal has a right. Now if I can transfer this document, then this will become a negotiable instrument. If I can't transfer this document, then in that case, this will not be considered as a negotiable instrument. Guys, let me be very clear. Negotiation जो है is not equal to transferable. मैं आपको अभी समझाने के लिए बस बता रहा हूं that negotiation है means something that is transferable, but आगे चल के I will change my stand. मैं पलट जाऊंगा, मैं बदल जाऊंगा, अचानक से बदल जाऊंगा. तुम मेरी बात समझ रहे हो ना? So what I'm saying, sir, negotiable basically means transferable for the time being. Okay, now in this chapter when we are going to talk about negotiable instrument, before we get into that, let me tell you a practical example of what a negotiable instrument can be, sir. Can you tell me practically what negotiable instrument have you come across? So let me tell you, practically you must have come across something that is called as a check. Guys, what is a check? So check is something through which, if I have a bank account with HDFC Bank. So in HDFC Bank, I have a bank account. In that bank account, I have rupees 20,000. Now out of those 20,000 rupees, if 5,000 rupees, let's say I want to transfer to whom? Let's see. Oh my God, Adarsh Mishra, क्या बात है? Hi Adarsh. So let's say we want to transfer it to Somesh. 5,000 रुपए मेरे को सोमेश को ट्रांसफर करना है. Shubham wants to transfer 5,000 rupees to Somesh. If I ask you how will we do it, So you will say, sir, UPI ID बता दो, UPI कर देते हैं, नहीं तो पेटीएम वॉलेट लेते हो तो पेटीएम में ले लो. Oh bhai, we are sitting in 2022, but this act was not made in 2022. When was this act made? This act was made in 1881. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. 1881. That's the oldest act that you are going to read. 1881. 1881 में sir Britishers थे India में. So Britishers came to India. When they were in India, they wanted to manage. They wanted to manage the commercial business. जो हमारे बिजनेस होते हैं ना, जो हमारे रोजमर्रे का बिजनेस होता है, वॉट एवर डेली बिजनेस दैट यूज्ड टू हैपन, दे वांटेड टू क्रिएट सच इंस्ट्रूमेंट्स दैट कैन मेक लाइफ इजी फॉर बिजनेस पीपल. So imagine they created something called as check. What is a check? They didn't exactly create check. Check is an upgraded version of something. But imagine that they created check. Now, if I want to transfer 5,000 rupees to Umesh, either I can do it today. I can give him cash today, or I can transfer to his bank account today. But at that point of time, imagine if I didn't want to give Somesh check today, I wanted to give, if I didn't want to give him money today, I wanted to give it to him sometime later. I wanted to give that money 2 months later. So how will I give that money for 2 months later? How will I ensure that there is a document that shows that Shubham has to pay Somesh 2,000 rupees later? So sir, they created an instrument which is called as check. In check, what you can do is, for example, today is 23rd July. So in that check, you can put date of 2 months later. So 23rd July, 23rd August, 23rd September. So for example, in that check, I can put a date of 23rd September and I can transfer that instrument to someone else, and that someone, Somesh, can go to the bank and take the money. Somesh can go to the bank and take the money. So that is how an instrument was to be created, sir. To who, for whom? For whom? किसके भले के लिए क्रिएट करना था? It was supposed to be created for the businessmen. Okay, for those people who are in the commercial world, for those people who are in the commercial business. Okay, now try to understand. So Negotiable Instrument Act talks about instrument that is negotiable. वाह 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 वाह. अब सर मेरे को एक बात बताओ. In this chapter, negotiable instrument has been broadly divided into 3 categories. We will understand each of them in very much detail. But what are those 3 categories? One is promissory note. Promissory note क्या होता है सर? वादा किया है तो निभाना पड़ेगा. Promissory note is basically you make a promise to do something on some date. We will get into the details, but there is something called as promissory note. There is something called as bills of exchange. And there is something called as checks. So these are the broadly three kinds of negotiable instrument that we will be talking about in this chapter. And apart from that, sir, there will be some other topics also, like we will also talk about hundi, kuch bhi bollo. We will be talking about hundis also, and we will be talking about a lot other things also. But these are the 3 kinds of negotiable instrument that we will be looking into in detail. Did you understand, sir? Yes, sir. Now, आराम से सुनो, कोई टेंशन नहीं है, कहीं जाना नहीं है. सबसे पहले सर, let me first tell you, when you are making a negotiation, let's actually first start understanding what is promissory note. What is promissory note? What is promissory note, and how does a promissory note works? Okay, so for example, imagine a scenario, sir. Shubham has to pay. So what did I do? Okay, so I wanted to purchase goods from Somesh. Shubham wanted to purchase goods from Somesh. Okay, so I purchased goods worth 50,000 rupees from Somesh. But I said, Somesh, मैं अभी पैसा नहीं दे पाऊंगा. I can't pay you the money now. I will pay you the money after 3 months. I'll pay you the money after 3 months. Can I pay you the money after 3 months? Law says, yes, you can of course pay. But Somesh bola, bhai, how will I trust you? And we are sitting in 1881, huh? We are not in 2022. We are sitting in 1881. And Shubham said, कि boss, I'll pay you after 3 months. Somesh said, क्या गारंटी है? क्या गारंटी है? तो सर, मैंने बोला एक काम करते हैं सोमेश, एक काम करते हैं. If you want guarantee only now, if you don't trust me now, then let's enter into a contract. Because we also know there is something called as Indian Contract Act. Let's enter into a contract, and based on that contract, I'll pay you the money. Somesh said, idea अच्छा है, पर भाई अगर हर किसी के साथ, for everyone, with every customer to whom I am making sales, if I keep on entering into contracts, मैं पूरा दिन सिर्फ contract ही sign करता रह जाऊंगा. Somesh will say, boss, on a daily basis, I have 200 customers. If for every customer I keep on entering into a contract, मैं contract ही करता रह जाऊंगा. So I don't have time to do contract. Give me some alternative. Give me some alternative. So sir, this was a real problem. So to solve that problem, what they did was they created a simple paper में document. They created a simple document in which Shubham would sign and Somesh would sign. And Shubham will write, I promise to pay rupees 50,000 to Mr. Somesh after in 3 months after date. क्या लिखा सर? I took a piece of paper and I started writing that I will promise. What did I say? I promise. वादा करता हूं मैं. I promise that to pay 50,000 rupees to Somesh in 3 months after date. What is after date, sir? After date is you will put a date to the instrument here. So for example, date is 23rd July. So I will put 23rd July and I'll say that, boss, after 3 months, what will you get? You will get the money. So sir, from 23rd July, you will count 3 months. And after that, you will be liable to make a payment of rupees 50,000 rupees to whom? To Somesh. Sir, in chapters like lease, अगर आपने गलती से भी लीज पढ़ा होगा अकाउंट्स में, तो द पर्सन हु गिव्स हिज असेट ऑन लीज इज द लेसर और लेसोर, एंड द पर्सन हु रिसीव्स such asset on lease is called as lessee. Correct? A person who gives is called lessor and a person who receives is called as lessee. But in this case, sir, in case of promissory note, the person who makes the promise, is called as promisor. No, sir. The person who makes the promise, Shubham, is called the maker. Why? Because he is making the promise. And the person to whom the promise is made, Somesh, जिसको हमने वादा किया है, he is called as payee. क्यों सर? क्योंकि he will be receiving that money. So on one end you have maker who makes the promise, and on the other hand you have payee who receives the money. So there are two parties to a promissory note. One is the maker, one is the promisee. Okay, one is the maker, one is the payee. Now sir, tell me something. Can you tell me something? Have you ever seen any currency note? आपके पास अगर कोई भी, अगर if you have any currency in your hand, currency मतलब क्या सर? अरे hard cash, रोकड़ा. I have a 200 rupees note in my purse. If you have any note, any new notes or anything in your purse, just open it up. Okay. And if you carefully see this is a promissory note, sir. This is what? This is a promissory note in which if you see, it is written that Reserve Bank of India, उसमें लिखा है, I promise. Sir, you will have to read this. You will have to open a currency note in front of you. Sir, जाके पापा से मांग के आओ. जाओ. Go and ask your dad. क्या? सोमेश? सोमेश कहता है मैं वेट करूंगा. Okay. Guys, this is a promissory note, and if you see in this Reserve Bank, the governor of Reserve Bank of India is saying, I promise to pay the bearer the sum of 200 rupees. So this is a piece of paper. In this piece of paper, what has RBI governor written? The governor of Reserve Bank of India has written, I promise to pay bearer. I promise to pay bearer the sum of rupees 200. ऐसा लिखा हुआ है. Sir, why is this written? Because sir, this is just a piece of paper. Why this paper has a lot of value is because Reserve Bank of India has created this promissory note saying that, boss, you use this to pay 200 rupees or receive 200 rupees, whatever you want. Tomorrow, if you come with this to us, we will pay you 200 rupees. So this is not 200 rupees. This is 200 rupees only, but this is backed by the promise of Reserve Bank of India that Reserve Bank of India will pay us money when we go to them and take these notes. Now tell me something, people. This is a note which is created by Reserve Bank of India, and hence it is called a bank note. Do you know what is the difference between a bank note and a currency note? Do you know what is the difference between a bank note and a currency note? सर बैंक नोट इज क्रिएटेड बाय रिजर्व बैंक ऑफ इंडिया. अगर आप बैंक नोट देखोगे तो ऊपर रिजर्व बैंक ऑफ इंडिया लिखा हुआ है विथ द गारंटीड बाय द सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट. बट सर अगर आप ना कोई ₹1 का करेंसी उठा के देखोगे, ₹1 का करेंसी सर अगर घर में मम्मी पापा लोग ना पुराना पुराना बचा के रखते हैं आपकी शादी के लिए, तो उसमें सर ₹1 का करेंसी अगर है, इफ यू फाइंड अ ₹1 करेंसी एंड यू गो एंड सी, you will see that it is not backed by Reserve Bank of India, but instead it is backed by Central Government of India. That one is backed directly by Central Government of India. So sir, in India, नोट छापने का पावर दो लोगों के पास है, सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट के पास, रिजर्व बैंक ऑफ इंडिया के पास. तो व्हेन सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट प्रिंट्स अ करेंसी, इट इज कॉल्ड एज करेंसी नोट, एंड व्हेन रिजर्व बैंक प्रिंट्स अ करेंसी, इट इज कॉल्ड एज बैंक नोट. Okay, sir, why did you teach this to us? One, for very important knowledge. Very important knowledge. It is good to know such things. And second is that we are reading technical definition of promissory note. What is promissory note? What is promissory note, sir? A promissory note is an instrument. It is an instrument. Instrument as in sir document, which is in writing. Which is in writing. Writing मतलब क्या सर? It should be in writing. अगर मैं सोमेश को कॉल करके बोलूं, सोमेश भाई, I promise to pay you 50,000 after 3 months. Is it a promissory note? No, promissory note has to be in writing, and this does not include bank note and currency note. They have specifically excluded bank note and currency note. क्यों सर? अगर आप इंक्लूड कर लेते तो उनको भी नेगोशिएबल इंस्ट्रूमेंट एक्ट एप्लीकेबल हो जाता, बट नेगोशिएबल इंस्ट्रूमेंट एक्ट डज नॉट अप्लाई टू दीज बैंक नोट्स. सो हेंस दे हैव स्पेसिफिकली इंक्लूडेड बैंक नोट्स and currency note that contains an unconditional undertaking. What does it contain, sir? It contains an undertaking which is unconditional, which is signed by the maker. Signed by the maker. Sir, please listen with me. This is an instrument which is in writing, which contains an unconditional undertaking signed by the maker to pay a certain sum. To pay a certain sum of money to order or to bearer. क्या to actually ऐसा कर लो, to a person's order or to bearer. सर अभी तक समझ आ रहा था, ये डेफिनेशन लिख करके आपने कचड़ा कर दिया. क्या है डेफिनेशन? क्या है सर प्रॉमिसरी नोट? सर सबसे पहले सुनो, आराम से सुनो, सब कुछ समझ आएगा. ये सबसे इंपॉर्टेंट डेफिनेशन है, इसको समझ लोगे तो बिल्स ऑफ एक्सचेंज चेक्स का डेफिनेशन सारा समझ आ जाएगा. व्हाट इज अ प्रॉमिसरी नोट? इट इज एन इंस्ट्रूमेंट. इंस्ट्रूमेंट व्हाई? बिकॉज इट इज अ डॉक्यूमेंट विच इज इन राइटिंग. समझ गया सर? contains an unconditional undertaking. Undertaking मतलब क्या है? Undertaker नहीं नालायको. What is undertaking? Undertaking basically means a commitment. It is a commitment. I am committing that I'll pay you 50,000, but that commitment is unconditional. That commitment is unconditional. You can't say to Somesh ki, Somesh, you have sold me goods worth 50,000. You have sent me goods, right? Now, only if you clear your inter exams, I will make you the payment. Only if you clear your inter exams, I'll make you the payment. No, boss. The promissory note has to be very clear. It cannot be conditional. Conditional matlab kya, sir? Conditional matlab you are attaching a condition that if this happens, I'll pay. If that happens, I'll pay you. No, boss. You cannot attach a condition at all. You cannot say if rain happens on that day, I'll make you the payment. Arey, this is nonsense. You can't make such condition. You have simply bought goods and you will have to make the payment, so it has to be unconditional. It has to be signed by the maker. Naturally na, if I am promising to pay something, I'll have to sign it na, tabhi to wo legitimate hota hai. To pay a certain sum of money. What did I say, sir? Pay a certain sum of money. Certain sum matlab the amount is fixed. It is not vague. Certain sum as in there is a fixed amount. So for example, if you're writing I promise to pay 50,000 rupees, it is a certain sum. You can't say, I promise to pay 50,000 rupees or such amount as we may mutually agree. सर आप ऐसा लिख रहे हो कि सोमेश आई विल गिव यू 50,000 रुपीज और सच अमाउंट एज वी में म्यूचुअली अग्री, मतलब अपन 3 महीने बाद बात करेंगे और जो भी अमाउंट अपन डिसाइड कर रहे हैं वो मैं तेरे को पे कर दूंगा. देन दैट इज नॉट अ प्रॉमिसरी नोट. द प्रॉमिसरी नोट हैज टू इंक्लूड अ सर्टेन सम. सर्टेन मतलब क्या? फिक्स्ड. The amount has to be fixed, so you have to include to pay a certain sum of money. Now sir, who do you pay that money to? So Shubham is making a promissory note. Whom will he make the payment to? So sir, there are three options. 1, 2, 3. You can make the payment to any person, or to any person's order, or to bearer. Sir, what is this? You can make any payment to a person or as person's order or to any bearer. What does this mean? Sir, for you to understand this, you will have to understand that negotiable instruments can be of two types. One is payable to order. One is payable to bearer. What is the difference between these two things, sir? One is payable to order, the other one is payable to bearer. What is the difference between two things? Sumesh keh rahe, thanks for the promissory note, sir. Promissory का नालायक spelling देख ले बेटा. promissory, please correct the spelling of promissory. ऐसा एग्जाम में लिखोगे नेगेटिव इंप्रेशन पड़ेगा. promissory का स्पेलिंग देख लो सर. ए नहीं आता है. ओके. Okay, guys, now listen to me. Yes, all the conditions of contract act are satisfied. Absolutely correct. Sir, this is a very important thing and you need to understand this very clearly. Sir, we are just building the concepts. So you are building the concepts for promissory notes. Once that concept is built, on that same logics, you can put your bills of exchange, your checks and everything. So please understand each and every point. Okay. Now, guys, listen to me very carefully. Sir, payable to order, and what is the difference between payable to order and payable to bearer? What is the difference between payable to order and payable to bearer in case of Negotiable Instrument Act? Listen to me very carefully. For example, if you see this, if you see your currency note, does it contain my name anywhere? In your currency note, क्या आपका नाम कहीं पे लिखा है? Has it written that this money belongs to Dimple, this money belongs to Somesh? ऐसा कुछ लिखा है कहीं पे? नहीं. What is written is, if you're, please open a currency ना यार, please open a currency note. मैं तुमको चलो मैं तुमको रुपया दिखाता हूँ. आ जाओ, तुम लोगों को मैं दिखाता हूँ. ₹200 नोट. अरे नोट. Okay. I hope you can see my screen and I hope you can see something written on the screen. I know it is blurred, but I think it is readable. Sir, what is this written? This is your 200 rupees का note. It is ऊपर Reserve Bank of India. यहाँ पे लिखा है, I promise to pay the bearer the sum of ₹200. मैं धारक को, धारक means what? The bearer, the person who has this particular currency को 200 रुपए अदा करने का वचन करता हूं, प्रॉमिस करता हूं. सर, दिस इज अ प्रॉमिसरी नोट विच इज प्रॉमिस टू द बेरर. बेरर मीन्स सर whosoever bears this particular instrument. bears as in जिसके हाथ में है, जो ले जाके रिजर्व बैंक ऑफ इंडिया को देगा. whosoever will go and give it to Reserve Bank of India, Reserve Bank of India will consider that this person has to be given 200 rupees. This is called as an instrument by bearer. Sir, what does an instrument by bearer means? That if there is an instrument which is payable to bearer, then whosoever takes it to the bank, that person will get the money. So bearer means what? Whosoever takes it to the bank will get the money. Now, what does payable to order means? Payable to order means you will have the name of a specific person. There will be a specific person to whom you can make the payment. You will specify the name of a person to whom you will make the payment, or to his order. मतलब क्या सर, मेरी बात सुनो. What I can write is, in my promissory note, I can write that I promise to pay 50,000 bucks, 50,000 rupees to मिस्टर सोमेश, टू मिस्टर सोमेश, टू मिस्टर सोमेश लिखने से क्या हो जाता है सर? दिस बिकम्स अ नेगोशिएबल इंस्ट्रूमेंट पेबल टू ऑर्डर। तो जिसका हमने नाम दिया है उसको पे होगा। सो दिस इज अ वेरी स्पेसिफिक नेगोशिएबल इंस्ट्रूमेंट। नाउ इफ आई राइट टू मिस्टर सोमेश और हिज ऑर्डर, और हिज ऑर्डर मतलब क्या? शुभम will pay through Somesh. If Somesh is saying no boss, I don't want to pay, receive it, you give it to Dimple. Somesh is saying I don't want to receive it, you give it to Dimple. So Somesh is basically giving an order to pay to someone else, and I'll pay to that someone else because this is Somesh or to his order. This is a negotiable instrument payable to order. But if I were to make a negotiable instrument which is payable to bearer, I would write I promise to pay rupees 50,000 to bearer of this instrument. Bearer of this instrument means, sir, whosoever has this instrument, when they come to me with the promissory note, I'll pay the promissory note. And I'll give this to him, Somesh. Now, what Somesh can do? Somesh can do in case of a bearer instrument, what Somesh can do is, Somesh लेगा जाकर के वो डिम्पल को दे देगा. When he takes that promissory notes and give to Dimple, now what simply Dimple can do is, Dimple can come to Shubham after 3 months and say, Shubham sir, मेरे को ना पैसा दो. कौन सा पैसा? मैंने बोला, अरे वो पैसा जो आपने to bearer करके बना रखा था ना, ये रहा promissory note, give me the money. So Dimple will show me the promissory note and I will give her the money. This is how bearer works. So, sir, what is the difference between a payable by order and payable by bearer? What is the difference between a negotiable instrument which is payable to order and payable to bearer? What is the difference? Sir, I would say the difference is in terms of transferability. Transferability. If I were to transfer, listen to me very carefully, huh? If I made a promissory note, okay, what did I write? I promise. ये मैं बहुत बार लिख रहा हूं, अभी मैं यहीं पे छोड़ दूंगा. आई प्रॉमिस टू पे रुपीज 50,000 टू मिस्टर सोमेश. ठीक है, दिस इज व्हाट आई रोट एंड हियर आई साइंड, ओके, एंड हियर सोमेश साइंड. ठीक है, दिस इज हु, दिस इज द मेकर एंड दिस इज द पेई, एंड देन आई डेटेड दिस इंस्ट्रूमेंट and I said I will pay after 3 months. Okay. So now Shubham has to pay 50,000 rupees to Somesh. This is a promissory note. Now tell me something. If Somesh wants to in turn pay 50,000 rupees to Dimple. Now if Somesh had purchased some goods from Dimple and Somesh has to pay 50,000 rupees to Dimple, how will Somesh ensure that ये जो promissory note है वो Dimple के favor में चले जाए? वो कैसे करेगा sir? How will Somesh ensure that this promissory notes becomes transferred to Dimple? How will he do it? Because guys, understand, why are we doing all these things? These things we are doing because we are trying to help the businessman. Now businessman A will buy from B, B will buy from C, C will buy from D. ऐसे चलता है business. So now if A is creating a promissory note in favor of B, how can B transfer that note to C? So sir, this is what? This is an instrument which is payable by order or payable to bearer. This is an instrument which is payable to order or bearer. What is it? Tell me something. This is an instrument which is payable to order or to bearer. What is it? Sir, because there is a specific person named linked to it, it is a payable to order. Correct? It is a payable to order instrument. Now, if you were to transfer this in favor of Dimple, now, how will Somesh do it? Somesh will have to endorse it and deliver this instrument to Dimple. What did I say, sir? This is a promissory note which is payable to order. So Somesh, if Somesh wants to transfer it to Dimple, Somesh will have to endorse it and deliver it to Dimple. Sir, what does endorsement means? Sir, there are two words in your life. One is endorsement, one is endorsement. ठीक है? Sir, endorsement क्या होता है? Endorsement is something which is used in Negotiable Instrument Act, which is the legal word. But we casually use the word endorsement also to imply endorsement. Hey, what are you saying, sir? Sir, Negotiable Instrument में, Act में, if you see the word is endorsement. But over the period we have gradually started using the word endorsement in place of endorsement, and this is well accepted word. So sir, for us, for the time being, endorsement is equal to endorsement. तो अगर आप मेरे नोट्स में के endorsement देखो, लॉ में के endorsement देखो, समरी मॉड्यूल में के endorsement देखो, don't get confused because endorsement is equal to endorsement. Now what endorsement छोड़ो सर, मतलब क्या होता है? What does it mean? What is the meaning of the word endorsement or endorsement? So endorsement basically means that it is a process. What you do is, on the back of your promissory note, ये promissory note का front part है, क्या मैं इसको यहाँ पे लिख दूं front? Now there is a back part to the promissory note, right? And this back part is blank. So what I'll write is, here Somesh will write pay to Miss Dimple rupees 50,000, and he will sign it here. He will sign it here. What is this thing, sir? What is this thing? This is called as endorsement. You are basically endorsing the check in favor, the promissory note in favor of someone else. So you are basically transferring it to someone else. Now, if I do it in my pocket, अगर मेरे पास promissory note है, उसमें I write paid to Miss Dimple and then I keep it in my pocket. Will it make sense? If I keep it in my drawer, will it make sense? No. You will have to then deliver this to. You will have to then deliver this to whom? You will have to then deliver this to Miss Dimple, and when Miss Dimple has these promissory note, she can now go to Shubham and claim कि Shubham, give me the money. Now imagine a situation, Dimple will come to Shubham, show me the promissory note. I'll see promissory note में लिखा है I want to pay to Somesh. मैं बोलूंगा Dimple वापस जाओ. I will not pay you the money. I will pay to Somesh because I've clearly written I'll pay to Somesh. But Dimple will say रुको जरा, सबर करो, पीछे तो देखो, पीछे तो देखो. सर दो मीम यूज कर लिया मैंने एक लाइन में. I've used two memes in one line. One, रुको जरा सबर करो from Hindustani Bhau. Second, रुको पीछे तो देखो. There was the small kid from Pakistan. There was a small kid from Pakistan who was like, मामू पीछे तो देखो. I'm using memes and then I'm explaining memes. Wow. Now, what Dimple will say is, sir, पीछे तो देखो. उसमें she will say that, see, Somesh has endorsed or endorsed this check in my favor, and hence now I am eligible to receive this particular what promissory note. So, sir, this is a promissory note by order which can be transferred by endorsement and delivery. Okay. Now, sir, the second kind of promissory note. Let's take a second kind of promissory note. Copy. Paste. Okay, let's take a second kind of promissory note. Sir, in this promissory note, what have I written? We have written here that I promise to pay. One second, guys. Yes, I promise to pay rupees 50,000 to bearer after 3 months. I have written that whosoever is the bearer, I will pay them promissory note. This is what? This is a promissory note which is payable to order or bearer. This is payable to bearer. Okay. Now again I'll sign this, and Somesh need not sign this. Somesh need not sign this. Here payee is bearer. So what we can do is, sir, एक second. Need not sign this वगैरह पे मैं नहीं आता हूँ. I'll tell you something. As per Negotiable Instrument Act, promissory note can be made payable to order or to bearer. दोनों allowed है. Okay, दोनों allowed है. You can make a promissory note which is payable to order, which is payable to bearer. But tell me something. Can I actually make a promissory note payable to bearer? Can I actually think something? Can I actually make promissory note payable to bearer? No, sir. अगर वो होता तो मैं नोट छापना शुरू कर देता ना. अगर ऐसा होता तो मैं छोड़ो, मुकेश अंबानी, गौतम अडानी, all of them would have started printing notes. Gautam Adani would have said, we will now have Adani currency. What does that mean? This is the green color Adani currency. You see, you use this currency. If tomorrow someone wants money, they can come with this currency to me, and I promise to pay 200 rupees to the bearer thereof. सर ये तो वही बात हो गई ना, लोग अपना नोट छापना शुरू कर देंगे. इसीलिए आरबीआई हैज एक्सक्लूसिवली prohibited promissory notes from payable to bearer. आप ऐसा promissory notes नहीं बना सकते which is payable to bearer, because that is what this is, right? This is what? This is a promissory note payable to bearer. This is a currency. How can you how can you allow people to make currency? Mukesh Ambani will make his own currency. Say this is Reliance currency. You can rely on this currency. Arre? No, you can't do this. Hence, Negotiable Instrument Act they have casually written it. But Reserve Bank of India has specifically prohibited you from issuing a bearer promissory note. But sir, just for the sake of understanding, मान लो ऐसा हमने बना लिया, मान लो एक बना लिया. Now sir, this is payable to bearer. Now if this was given to whom? This was given to Somesh. Now if Somesh wants to transfer this to Dimple, how will he do it? If Somesh wants to transfer this promissory note to Dimple, will he have to enforce it and then deliver it? Will he have to enforce it and deliver it? No sir, there is no need for enforcement because this is payable to bearer. मतलब जिसके पास होगा उसको पैसा मिल जाएगा. So you can merely just deliver it. You can just take that thing and deliver it to Dimple if promissory note to bearer was allowed, but according to RBI, promissory note to bearers is not allowed because that is what currency notes and bank notes are, right? Okay. Sir, please tell me, did you understand what is the difference between payable to order and payable to bearer? Did you understand what is payable to order and what is payable to bearer? Did you understand what is payable to order and payable to bearer? We'll discuss this a lot more, but did you get a gist of what I'm trying to explain? So sir, what did I say you right now? Payable to order and payable to bearer में the difference is when you transfer payable to order वाला negotiable instrument, you endorse or endorse बोल लो, endorse or endorse बोल लो जैसा तुमको ठीक लगे, plus you deliver. But for bearer you only deliver. You don't have to endorse. Did you understand? अरे बोलो ना हाँ. Yes or no? Come on. बाकी लोग सो रहे हो क्या? तुम लोग सो रहे हो क्या? Guys, are you sleeping? Come on, please be active यार, please reply. खाली ऐसे इतने सारे लोग बस बोल रहे हैं. Come on everyone, come on. I want to know who all are here. Come on, just reply. Come on, be fast. Be quick. Sir, why Pooja कह रही है why is bearer promissory note prohibited? Because bearer promissory notes print करने का power only Reserve Bank of India and central government has, no one have. They have just restricted the powers to themselves because they don't want big people to start issuing their own currency in India, and hence they have just prohibited it. Pooja, okay guys, chalo. Now sir, what are we going to read? Can you tell me something, sir? I told you that a promissory note should be in. What are the features of promissory note? Matlab for a promissory note to be called promissory notes, what are the features of a promissory note? So let me tell you. Let me actually show you a practical promissory note. aa jao sir. Promissory note. Let's see this one. आज खुल जा भाई. Okay, sir. Do you see my screen? Do you see a promissory note? There is a promissory note. There is a place of residence. There is a date. I, maker's name. I, Shubham Singhal, agree and promise to pay Mr. Somesh or order. Sir, or order मतलब क्या? या तो Mr. Somesh को I'll pay or to that person to whom he orders to pay the sum of rupees 50,000 for value received with interest at the annual rate of say 10% payable on and after particular date. On and after particular date as in 31st March, कोई भी date के बाद इस तरीके से you write and then you make the maker's signature. Sir, there is no payee signature in this example, but you can also add payee signature. So sir, what are the essential things that is needed to make a promissory note valid? How will you say that a promissory note is valid? So sir, there are some essential features. Number one, it should be in writing. It should be in writing. Number two, it should be signed. It should be signed by the maker. अपने को maker का sign तो absolutely necessary है. अरे boss, if I am not signing, then that promissory note has no significance only. I am saying Mukesh Ambani will pay 50 lakh crore rupees to Gautam Adani. Arey, is that promissory note any sense unless Mukesh Ambani signs it? No, Mukesh Ambani will have to sign it, right? So the promissory note has to be in writing and it has to be signed. Then it has to be definite and unconditional, sir. There should be no condition linked to that particular promissory note. It should be a straight away promissory note saying that I promise to pay you on so and so date. Bus, I'll pay you. That's it. Okay. Now, sir, if I make a contract, if I make a promissory note and I say that I promise to give you my phone. I promise to give you my phone after 3 months. Is that a promissory note? I promise to give you my phone after 3 months. Is that a promissory note? The answer is no. Why? Because promissory note can only contain promise to pay money. बेटा पैसा, सिर्फ पैसा की बात करना, किसी और चीज की बात मत करना. You will have to. डिंपल पूछ रही है एनफोर्स मतलब क्या? बेटा रामायण खत्म हो गया, राम कौन है पूछ रहे हो? अरे बेटा endorse means what? Endorse means the process where Somesh wrote that pay to Dimple and he signed it on the back. That process is called as endorsing the check. Endorsing the promissory note. Endorsing means it is a process to transfer that particular promissory note in favor of someone else. Okay. Now, sir, this is you will have to make a promise to pay money. Uske alawa I'll pay you my this. I have a dog called Joey. I promise to pay you my dog. No, boss. You can't transfer your dog via promissory note. Only money can be promised, and that too, this money has to be a certain sum. It has to be it has to be an absolute number. It has to be a certain number. You cannot be uncertain. You cannot say that I'll pay you 50,000 rupees or such amount as we may discuss. No, boss. You will have to specifically mention what amount. Okay. Then, sir, you will have to expressly promise to pay that amount. You will have to expressly promise to pay that amount. What does it mean, sir? For example, I made a promissory note in which what did I write? I wrote that yes, I have received goods worth 50,000 rupees from Sumesh and I will make that payment. What did I write? Yes, I have received 50,000 goods worth 50,000 from Sumesh and yes, I'll make the payment. Sir, is this a promissory note? What did I write in my promissory note? I received goods worth rupees 50,000 and I will make the payment. Sir, is this a promissory note? Not likely. Why? Because promissory note has to expressly promise. तो आपको वादा करना पड़ेगा. सर कैसे बच्चों जैसी बातें कर रहे हो ना? निब्बा निब्बी वाली बातें नहीं, वादा करो. तो सर I promise to pay करना पड़ेगा आपको and this has to be expressly in promise. This can be considered as mere acknowledgement. What you can do is you can just consider this to be mere acknowledgement. मतलब मैं बोल रहा हूं हाँ मैंने तेरे से 50,000 का गुड्स लिया, देख लेंगे पैसे देने का. वो promissory note नहीं होता. Promissory note मतलब क्या? आप expressly promise कर रहे हो that I'll make you the payment of the money. So that characteristic has to be taken care of. You will have to expressly make the payment. Now, sir, everything, the maker, the payee, कौन maker है? Who is making the check? Who is making the promissory note? Who is getting that money? Everything should be certain. You should know that who is getting the money. You cannot hence create a promissory note which is promised by bearer and this will have to be stamped. Sir, what is stamped? Negotiable instrument will have to be stamped. आप अभी के लिए समझ लो, आपको यहाँ पे you will have to put the stamp of yourself somewhere here. Sir, stamp has something to do with stamp duty. I'll explain this to you in detail later, but consider these things. These things are very important for a promissory note to be valid. Now, sir, for example, tell me something. You said that the sum should be certain. The amount should be certain, right? Now, if I say that I promise to pay 50,000 to Mr. Sumesh along with interest at the rate of 10% per annum. Sir, my question is this a valid promissory note? Can this promissory note be considered to have a certain sum of money? Certain matlab, sir, ekdam absolutely fixed. Is this a valid promissory note? I'm asking you, is this a valid promissory note? सो जाओ स्नेहा, क्या करना है, क्या करना है? Sir, this is absolutely a valid promissory note. Just because you added the word interest, that doesn't mean that it became uncertain. It is absolutely a certain promissory note, and you have a certain amount that you will pay this at the rate of 10% per annum. So it is an absolute promissory note. Okay, 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 very good. बस रमा एक जन ने बोला नो, बाकी सब ने बोला यस यस, बिकॉज इंटरेस्ट इज कैलकुलेटेबल यार. इंटरेस्ट, मैं ये नहीं बोल रहा हूं कि मैं देखूंगा मेरे, आई एम नॉट सेइंग दैट आई विल चेक माय लॉकर एंड व्हाटएवर मनी इज देयर इन माय लॉकर आई विल गिव यू. दैट इज समथिंग व्हिच इज अनसर्टेन. बट इफ यू आर सेइंग आई विल पे एट एन इंटरेस्ट ऑफ 10% rupees, that is very much calculatable. You can always calculate the interest rate, right? So these are the basic features of a promissory note, sir. I hope you understood what is a promissory note. Promissory note is basically a promise wherein you are giving a promise to someone else to pay the money in the future. So sir, all these detail about promissory note are written in section number, sir, all these detail of a promissory note is written in section number 4. Section number 4 of your Negotiable Instrument Act talks in detail about the promissory note. What is bills of exchange? What is bills of exchange? Bills of exchange ka definition is written in section number 5. It is written in section number 5. Sir, what is bills of exchange? Can you tell me what is bills of exchange? Now go back to 1881, sir. क्या रमा सो रहे हो क्या? रेट ऑफ इंटरेस्ट लिखा है ना बेटा, रेट ऑफ इंटरेस्ट तो लिखा है ना उसमें, कहा गया? 10% पर एनम लिखा है ना बेटा. कम ऑन. Now guys, now let's understand what is bills of exchange. Okay, to understand the concept of bills of exchange, you will have to understand why did bills of exchange come in the first place. Why did they come in the first place? Imagine a situation, sir. A purchase goods from B worth rupees 50,000. Okay. Now to pay B, he said that I'll pay you after 3 months. B said नहीं यार, मेरे को 3 महीने बाद नहीं, मेरे को भरोसा नहीं है तेरे पे. I need some sort of valid proof. So I said I'll give you promissory note. Can I give you promissory note? Absolutely, I can give you promissory note. But there was some need, some other requirement which I'll explain you. So there was some requirement wherein promissory note was lacking. Promissory note was lacking at some places, because of which we decided that boss, no, promissory note will not work. We will have to come up with bills of exchange. There is something called as bills of exchange. We will have to come up with this called as BOE. BOE. Sir, bills of exchange ko you can write BOE, and promissory note ko you can write PN. Okay. Now sir, now what was I saying? मेरे को दिमाग में कुछ आ रहा था कि मैं कुछ और बना सकता हूँ promissory note का, but then when I processed it, I realized no, not a good idea. Then I came back and I wrote PN. Okay, sir. So they thought that we will make a promissory note, we will make a bills of exchange. Why, sir? Consider this. So A received goods from B and had to pay 50,000 rupees to B. Now B received goods from C and had to pay 50,000 rupees to C. Now tell me something. Now what B wants is A जो है ना वो ये पेमेंट सीधा C को कर दे. ऐसा हो सकता है सर? Yes, B doesn't want to be the intermediary. He wants to say to A that A, please make the payment to C directly. Sir, how can B ensure that B is giving an order to A कि A C को पेमेंट कर दे? How can how can Roshan, you are saying you are not taking my question. You just sent the question. ठीक है? You just send the question and I'm already teaching. If after sending that question you start sending that, sir, you are not taking my questions, I will actually stop taking your questions. Okay? I will actually, because you just send your question and after 2 minutes you're sending, I'm not taking your questions. So मैं पढ़ाना बंद कर दूं और मैं बैठूं, अच्छा question आ गया, छोड़ो ये सब. I'll take your question, but I'll take you when I see your question. Okay? Don't worry, beta. Don't worry. Listen to me very carefully, guys. Suno. Guys, so A had purchased goods from B. B in turn had purchased goods from C. Now A has to pay to B and B has to pay to C. So B wants to say A directly C को payment कर देना. My question is, how can this happen? One option was, sir, one option was that A will give a promissory note. A will give a promissory note which is payable to order to B, and then B will endorse it in favor of C. Sir, very well option, very well valid option. But sir, what happens is this is not a very practical solution. कि आप मेरे को दोगे मैं उसको दूंगा, अरे मेरे को interfere करना ही नहीं है. So what you can do is, B can create something which is called as a bills of exchange. B can create something which is called as a bills of exchange. In this, what B can write is, B can write that I order Mr. A, who is something, to pay rupees 50,000 to Mr. C, who is something, on say 31st of March. Let's fix a date, 31st of March. This is what, sir, in this Mr. B, और इसको sign कौन करेगा, sir? This will be signed by Mr. B, who is something. So Mr. B will sign a document in which he will order A to pay money to C, and then he will go and give this document to C. ये ले जा करके जाके दे देगा सी को, और सी को बोलेगा देख सी मैंने ए को बोल दिया है. चलो अपन ना एबीसी करने की जगह ना अपन यहां पे नाम ले लेते हैं. नाम ले लेते हैं अमर, अकबर. तीसरा नाम कोई गेस कर सकता है? अमर, अकबर. बोलो बोलो, अमर, अकबर. मेरा मन क्या तुम एंथनी बोलोगे और मैं एंथनी हटा करके अजय वजय लिख दूं, पर चलने दो, कोई बात नहीं. एंथनी. Okay, so Amar had to pay to Akbar and Akbar had to pay to Anthony. So what Akbar will do? Akbar नहीं सर, इसको ना बीच में शुभम कर देते हैं. शुभम को बीच में होना जरूरी है because शुभम समझा सकेगा. शुभम has to receive money from Amar and give it to Anthony. Okay, so what Shubham will do is Shubham will make a document and he will say, Shubham will make a document in which he will order Amar to make a payment to Anthony. This is called as, sir, bills of exchange. Sir, what is a bills of exchange and how is it different from promissory note? Sir, in promissory note there are two parties, maker and payee. But in bills of exchange there can be either two parties or three parties. How three parties, sir? Three parties could be Shubham, Amar and Anthony. So a bill of exchange is something which is an instrument in writing wherein you order a person to pay money to another person. In this case, sir, the person who is drawing this bill of exchange, who is making this bill of exchange, is called as drawer. I'm telling you the three parties who are involved in this transaction. Shubham here is the drawer because वो draw कर रहा है, वो बना रहा है. Instead of the word maker, they use the word drawer. Now, Shubham is asking Amar to make a payment. So Amar is the person who will make the payment. So Amar is the drawee. And the payment will be made to Anthony. Anthony will receive the payment. So Anthony is payee. So there are three parties in a bill of exchange, sir. The three parties are drawer, drawee and payee. Sir, don't get confused. Drawer मतलब ये मत समझना the person who withdraws the money और जो draw करता है वो मत समझना. Drawer मतलब who draws the bill of exchange. Maker मतलब who makes the promissory note. So drawer means a person who draws the bill of exchange, and drawee मतलब क्या? The person who is ordered to pay. अगर आप order करोगे किसी को pay करने के लिए तो that is drawee, and there is a payee who receives the money. You will understand this example even better when we come to discuss checks. We will discuss checks. Now, sir, what is bill of exchange? Bill of exchange is basically something in which two or three parties can be involved. Sir, imagine a situation. Can I tell you something? Be very attentive. Huh? Here there are three people involved, right? This is drawee. This is drawer. Shubham ने draw किया, Amar पे drawee किया, and Anthony is payee. Right? These are the three parties involved. Correct? Now listen to me very carefully. Alternatively, bills of exchange can also be used in similar format. If Amar had received goods from Shubham worth 50,000. Okay, and Amar had to pay 50,000 to Shubham. Amar can draw. There can be a bill of exchange which can be drawn by Shubham, and Shubham can say that I order Amar, who is the drawee, to pay 50,000 to Shubham, which is the payee. Sir, Shubham is the drawer and Shubham is the payee. Can this happen? Yes, because I want to receive the payment, so I can always draw the bills of exchange and tell him that, oh Amar, you will have to pay it to me. You will have to pay it to me. So in this case, sir, in this case, the drawer is equal to payee. And there is the other person who is the drawee who has to make the payment. Can this be, this is this valid, sir? This is absolutely valid. पर सर मेरे को एक बात बताओ, ये बना करके मैं अपने घर पे रख लूंगा, मैंने बना दिया, हाँ अमर, आई ऑर्डर यू टू पे मी 50,000, और मैंने चुपके से अपने ड्रॉर में डाल दिया. Will it make sense? No, you will have to take this particular bills of exchange to Amar, and Amar will have to then accept this particular bill of exchange. There has to be acceptance. आपको accept करना पड़ेगा bill of exchange. When Amar accepts that bill of exchange, only then it becomes a valid bill of exchange. Otherwise it is not valid. Sir, logical भी है ना. सोचो ना, promissory note में और bills of exchange में difference क्या है? Sir, यही example में अगर आपको अमर और शुभम वाला example दूं, if I continue this example, please imagine Amar has purchased goods from Shubham and Amar has to pay 50,000 rupees to Shubham. Now, promissory note कौन बना रहा है? Promissory note अगर बनाना है तो वो अमर बनाएगा. So Amar is saying, I promise to pay Shubham 50,000. अरे तो जब promise कर रहा है वो, तो उसमें शुभम का साइन क्यों चाहिए कि मैं ले लूंगा पैसा? What Shubham will sign and say, Arey, yes, I'll take the money. It is a big problem, but I'll take the money. No, boss, taking money is easy. So Shubham will take the money. That's not a problem. The bigger challenge is Amar has to promise to make the payment. So if Amar is promising and Amar is signing it, it is a very valid promissory note. There is no need of acceptance. Accept करने की जरूरत नहीं है usually, but अगर आप शुभम की, अगर आप बिल्स ऑफ एक्सचेंज की बात करो ना, बिल्स ऑफ एक्सचेंज इज नॉट ड्रॉन बाय अमर, इंस्टेड ऑन द कॉन्ट्ररी इट इज बीइंग मेड बाय शुभम. शुभम घर में बैठे बैठे अमर को ऑर्डर दे रहा है, आई ऑर्डर यू टू पे मी 50,000 रुपीज. सो दैट ऑर्डर कैन बी ओनली वैलिड इफ अमर इज एक्सेप्टिंग ना. सो इन बिल्स ऑफ एक्सचेंज एक्सेप्टेंस इज मैंडेटरी. And bills of exchange where there can be either three parties or two parties, drawer, drawee and the payee. The payee can be the drawer himself. So there can be net two parties also. Did you understand, sir? Now, bills of exchange के essential features क्या है, sir? When you talk about bills of exchange, first of all, what is bills of exchange? What is bills of exchange? Again, sir, let me just go up. I had written the definition of promissory note here, right? I'll just copy this definition and I'll show you what is bills of exchange. ये देखो सर. Now I am going to define bills of exchange for you. Bills of exchange, BOE. Sir, bills of exchange is again an instrument. It is again an instrument which is writing, but it has nothing to do with currency note and bank note. Bills of exchange का currency note और bank note से कोई लेना देना नहीं है, sir. The currency notes and bank notes are closer to promissory note. They are basically promissory note. But bills of exchange has nothing to do with promissory note, which contains an unconditional अंडरटेकिंग की जगह आ जाएगा सर. अंडरटेकिंग की जगह आ जाएगा ऑर्डर. यू आर नॉट अंडरटेकिंग. अमर नहीं बना रहा है, शुभम बना रहा है. सो यू कंटेन एन ऑर्डर विच इज साइंड बाय द ड्रॉअर. द ड्रॉअर विल हैव टू साइन इट. दिस हैज टू बी साइंड बाय द ड्रॉअर डायरेक्टिंग अ पर्सन. इसके नीचे एक चीज आएगा सर, इसके नीचे एक और पॉइंट आएगा, डायरेक्टिंग a person to pay a certain sum of money to the order or to person's order or to bearer. क्या मतलब सर? मतलब क्या बदला? देखो, promissory note में you are giving promise, but bills of exchange में you are giving order. And promissory note में you are saying I will make the payment, but in bills of exchange you are directing someone else. आप किसी और को ऑर्डर दे रहे हो, भाई तू पेमेंट कर देना. तुम किसी और को ऑर्डर दे रहे हो, तुम पेमेंट कर देना. दिस इज द बेसिक डिफरेंस बिटवीन अ प्रॉमिसरी नोट एंड अ बिल्स ऑफ एक्सचेंज. नाउ सर, tell me what are the essential features of a bills of exchange? Like for a bills of exchange to be valid, how do you say that a bills of exchange is valid? So sir, basic चीजें तो वही रहेगी. That is, it has to be writing, it has to be signed. सर वो बेसिक चीजें तो वही रहेगी, that it has to be in writing and it has to be signed. और उसके अलावा वही कि it has to be definite and unconditional. These things are all fine. And it will have order to pay money only, it will have order to pay certain sum only. Everything is same, but the only difference is that in here, instead of express promise, you will make express order. आप प्रॉमिस नहीं कर रहे हो सर, आप ऑर्डर कर रहे हो। आप प्रॉमिस नहीं कर रहे हो, आप ऑर्डर कर रहे हो। उसके अलावा सारी चीजें सेम है सर, उसके अलावा एवरीथिंग इज सेम हियर, बस इंस्टेड ऑफ प्रॉमिस यू आर मेकिंग एन ऑर्डर। समझे सर? दीज आर द एसेंशियल्स। मतलब इट शुड बी इन राइटिंग, इट शुड बी साइंड, देयर शुड बी अ सर्टेन पेमेंट ऑफ मनी। मतलब आप पैसों की बात कर रहे हो, ऐसा नहीं मैं अपना घोड़ा दे दूंगा, ऐसा नहीं मैं अपना क्रेटा दे दूंगा। सो आई हैव अ क्रेटा, आई कांट से आई विल गिव यू माय क्रेटा. That is not valid for bills of exchange. Bills of exchange can only talk about money. And here there are three parties: drawer, drawee, and payee. Drawer, drawee, and payee. Sir, did you understand or not? Sir, give me a जोर वाला yes. Did you understand or not? जोर से बोलो हाँ. Did you understand or not? Sir, you'll learn a lot today, huh? Just be patient. You'll learn a lot today. Okay. Yes, sir. Okay. Cool. Okay. Miss Pooja is asking, sir, can a body corporate issue a promissory note? Can a body corporate issue a promissory note? क्या लगता है? What do you think? What do you think? Can a body corporate issue a promissory note? Can you write that Reliance Industries Limited promises to pay a promissory promises to pay rupees this much? So the answer to this lies in Companies Act. What is the power of a company? A company is an artificial legal entity. It is a separate legal entity. It has the power to own property, to sue people, to get sued, and everything, right? So if a company has a power to enter into a contract, then the company is very much eligible to also make an order or also make a negotiable instrument. Okay, it is also eligible to make a negotiable instrument, and negotiable instrument में कहीं ऐसा नहीं लिखा है that it has to be a transaction between two individuals. It has not nowhere written that it is a transaction between two individuals. It is basically an instrument, and obviously body corporate can do it because businesses चल कर ही तो body corporate रहे. Sir, if you mean by body corporate, if you're saying anything about foreign company, I'm not saying that. Body corporate से मेरा मतलब था companies. Okay, body corporate नहीं बोल रहा हूँ मैं. अब सर मेरी बात सुनो. You understood what is the difference between promissory notes and bills of exchange. Can you tell me something, sir? Can you tell me something? Promissory notes or bills of exchange mein, what is the broader difference? This is a promise. Okay. This is an order. Okay. Here the person is making the promise. In the bills of exchange, one person is making the order to someone else. Sir, is acceptance needed? So for example, Amar is making payment to Shubham. Is acceptance needed? Acceptance as in, will Shubham have to accept that promissory note? No, acceptance is not needed. But bills of exchange mein acceptance is absolutely needed. जो drawee hai, as in the person to whom you are giving the order to make the payment, he will have to accept that bill of exchange. Only then that will become a liability. Now, can you make a promissory note or bills of exchange that is payable to bearer? Can you make a promissory note which is payable to bearer? So, sir, as per negotiable instrument, it is a yes, but RBI has strictly said no. So, technically, no. But bills of exchange can absolutely be made to, it can absolutely be made payable to bearer. It can absolutely be made payable to bearer. Okay, remember that in mind. Now we will move a bit ahead. Sir, what are checks? What are checks? And this is something which is very important in today's practical life also. What is a check? What is a check? Sir, if I have a bank account with HDFC Bank, coming to my example, HDFC Bank where I have an account and that account has rupees 10,000 rupees. Now, if I were to transfer money to someone, today we have RTGS, NEFT. These are mode of payment, by the way. Huh? Uske alawa, there are other e-modes also. But there is one very common and very frequently used mode which is still very persistent. It is called as check. What is a check, sir? Check is something. Let's do this. Okay, let me draw it. Okay, let me draw a check. Because we will have to keep changing it and I want to draw it. So what will happen is when I go to HDFC Bank, किसका account है sir HDFC Bank में? HDFC Bank में शुभम का account है. Coming back to my example of Shubham and Somesh. Coming back to my example of Shubham and Somesh. Guys, we are going to level up the game. We are going to level up the game. You will have to level up with me. You will have to level up with me, and you will have to understand everything that I'm trying to explain to you. What is a check, sir? You know basically what is a check, but I'm going to explain to you in very much detail what is a check. What is a check, sir? Check is basically what will happen. There is a check. There is something which is called as check. ऐसा कुछ दिखता है. If Shubham has to pay 50,000 rupees to Somesh. Shubham has to pay 50,000 rupees to Somesh. How will Shubham pay that 50,000 rupees via a check? How will that happen? So what Shubham will do is, Shubham को HDFC Bank ने एक checkbook दिया होगा. He must have received a checkbook from HDFC Bank, जहां पे यहाँ पे date रहता है, यहाँ पे signature रहता है, और यहाँ पे कुछ codes रहते हैं, कुछ codes रहते हैं. Okay, so what Shubham will do is, Shubham will take this checkbook, he will write pay rupees 50,000 to Mr. Somesh. और ऐसा pay dash rupees 50,000. And then Shubham will sign this check. Sir, this is in this dash का place में Shubham will write Mr. Somesh को 50,000 देने की बात कर रहा हूं. I want to pay 50,000 rupees to Mr. Somesh. This is what, sir? This is basically a check. How does it work? Can I tell you that bills of exchange बहुत तरह के होते हैं, उसमें से एक तरह है चेक्स. सो चेक इज नथिंग बट अ बिल ऑफ एक्सचेंज. चेक इज नथिंग बट अ बिल ऑफ एक्सचेंज. कैसे सर? बिल्स ऑफ एक्सचेंज में तो दो तीन पार्टीज होते हैं, ड्रॉअर, ड्रॉई एंड पेई. तो सर यहां तीन पार्टी कैसे हो गए? सर तीन पार्टी ऐसे हो गए, यहां पे ड्रॉअर है शुभम. शुभम इज गिविंग एन ऑर्डर टू whom? ऑर्डर किसको दे रहे हो सर? यू आर गिविंग एन ऑर्डर टू HDFC Bank that, hey HDFC Bank, can you make the payment to the payee who is basically Somesh? You are giving an order to HDFC Bank that, HDFC Bank, can you please make a payment to Somesh, who is who? Who is the payee. So this is what, sir? This is a check. Check is a bill of exchange in which there is a drawer. The drawer, there is a payee. There is a payee. There is a drawee. Drawee कौन है सर? HDFC Bank. अब सर ये जो चेक है ना, ये चेक में बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट होता है डेट. This date is very important. Why? I'll tell you soon. But sir, I am trying to explain you what is a check. Check is basically an instrument wherein you write pay Mr. Somesh rupees 50,000 and then you sign it your name. And then what will happen? How will this check work, sir? I will take this check and Shubham will go to Somesh. Shubham ये check लेके जाएगा सोमेश के पास और सोमेश को बोलेगा बधाई हो सोमेश, रखो 50,000 रुपए. अब सोमेश क्या करेगा सर? समझना, शुभम जो है सोमेश के पास जाएगा और बोलेगा ये ले मेरा चेक, ये HDFC बैंक का चेक है, यू कैन टेक दिस चेक एंड गेट 50,000 रुपीज. नाउ सर व्हाट कैन सोमेश डू? Depending on the nature of check, depending on the kind of check, Somesh can either go to a nearest HDFC bank, he can go to whatever his nearest HDFC bank is, he will show this check and he will get 50,000 rupees cash. He will get 50,000 rupees cash. Second option is he will go to say any other bank, any bank, say Axis Bank. ठीक है, बिकॉज सोमेश का अकाउंट एक्सिस बैंक में था, सोमेश का अकाउंट एक्सिस बैंक में था, तो वो एक्सिस बैंक के पास जाएगा और एक्सिस बैंक को चेक देगा. अब ये एक्सिस बैंक को जब चेक मिलेगा ना, व्हाट विल हैपन? एक्सिस बैंक विल इंटरनली गो टू HDFC बैंक एंड HDFC बैंक को बोलेंगे HDFC बैंक, मेरे पास मेरा कस्टमर आया है सोमेश और वो कह रहा है he has to receive 50,000 rupees from you, from your customer Shubham, can you pay me that 50,000 rupees? So now HDFC bank will verify and verify करने के बाद HDFC bank will transfer this amount in this bank account of Somesh. So sir, in case one what happened? In case one you got cash. ठीक है, आपको रोकड़ा मिल गया. But in case two what happened? You got it in your bank account. आपको पैसा जो है आपके बैंक अकाउंट में मिला. सो सर दिस इज हाउ एक्चुअली द चेक वर्क्स. सो इफ दिस इज अ चेकबुक, इफ आई टेक दिस चेकबुक, एक पेज मैंने फाड़ा, अगर उसमें साइन किया पे 1,000 crore रुपीज, छोटा अमाउंट की बात ही नहीं करते अपन, स्मॉल अमाउंट, 1,000 crore रुपीज, सिग्नेचर, एंड आई गिव इट टू यू. And I wrote your name on it. You can go to your bank or you can go to HDFC bank and you can take money out of this. अब सर मेरे को एक बात बताओ, ये ये जो चेक है जो मैंने आपको एग्जांपल दिया, इज दिस पेबल टू ऑर्डर और इज दिस पेबल टू बेरर? इज दिस पेबल टू ऑर्डर और इज दिस पेबल टू बेरर? हाँ, यू फॉरगॉट आईएमपीएस. हाँ भाई, आईएमपीएस, आईएमपीएस, ठीक है. इज दिस पेबल टू ऑर्डर और इज दिस पेबल टू बेरर? Sir, Ayush is asking, sir, if bills of exchange can be payable to bearer, then this can also be used as credit note or bank note. हाँ जी. हाँ. This can also be used as credit note or bank. Sorry, this can also be used as currency note and bank note. Why only promissory note is banned? That is a very valid question, but उसका concept मैं समझा चुका हूँ. पर मैं फिर भी I'll explain it to you later on. Okay? I'll explain it to you later on. Don't worry. Okay? Now, सर HDFC will bounce your check. वो अलग बात है, तुम बकवास नहीं करो मेरे साथ. सर मेरी बात सुनो, इज दिस एन ऑर्डर चेक और बेरर चेक? सर दिस इन माई एग्जाम्पल इज एन ऑर्डर चेक. इज दिस इन माई एग्जाम्पल इज एन ऑर्डर चेक. बट सर इफ इमेजिन अ सिचुएशन, इफ आई रोट दैट, बहुत ध्यान से सुनना, इफ आई रोट दैट पे मिस्टर सोमेश और बेरर a sum of rupees 50,000. Now tell me, is this order, is this an payable to order or payable to bearer? Now tell me, is this something which is payable to order or is this payable to bearer? Tell me. Come on. Is this payable to order or is this payable to bearer? Sir, be careful. This is a check which is payable to bearer. Why? Because you have exclusively used the word or bearer, and when you have used the word or bearer, it means that या तो सोमेश को दे दो या उसको दे दो जो ये चेक पकड़ के आता है. तो भाई अगर कोई भी चेक पकड़ के आ रहा है और उसको you are giving the money, then it is a check which is payable to bearer. It is definitely a check which is payable to bearer. So this is a bearer check. Don't get confused because it is written pay to Mr. Somesh or bearer. Don't get confused that it is and payable to order. It is definitely a check which is payable to bearer. Now sir, let me show you a checkbook. Let me show you a check because it is very important that you see a check because there are a lot of things that you need to learn from a check. Sir, let's see a checkbook of this one, ICICI Bank. Sir, do you see this checkbook? This says that this is of ICICI Bank. Pay रवरी मनीष ओझा. और बाजू में देखो सर क्या लिखा है, और बेरर. तो कभी भी सर आपके चेकबुक में ना इस कॉर्नर में और बेरर लिखा रहता है जिसमें ऐसे लिखा है. सो व्हाट यू यूजुअली डू इज यू कट दैट थिंग. इफ यू डोंट वांट टू इशू अ बेरर चेक, यू कैन कट दैट थिंग. ₹22 lakh, ₹22 lakh 35,000, and then you sign this. Who is signing this, sir? Drawer is signing this. So this is the drawer. Upper bank is the drawee, and Ravuri Manish Oja जिसको पैसे मिल रहे, he is the lucky person. Lucky person तो है ही वो, 22 lakhs मिल रहे, but he is the payee. Did you understand, sir? This is how check works. Guys, if you ever get a chance, to register yourself for your intermediate या final का या कुछ भी करवाना पड़ता है, बैंक जाना होता है, if you have to issue checks, if you have to go and write a check, whatever you have to do, instead of making your dad do it or instead of making your mom do it, just go and do it yourself. You'll learn a lot. You will personally learn a lot because that is how you learn, right? Now, Prabhash, whatever you are asking, time and demand instrument, I have not yet come to that bit. I'll explain that to you. Okay. Now, sir, this is a check, and this is how I explained, and this is how it will work. This is how the pay will have to make the payment. Actually, let's do a thing. So, no, let's do one thing. Let's read from our notes a little. चलो एक लास्ट कॉन्सेप्ट बताता हूं, फिर वी विल टेक अ ब्रेक. आई एम टेलिंग यू अ लास्ट इंपॉर्टेंट कॉन्सेप्ट. लिसन टू मी वेरी केयरफुली. हाँ, लास्ट इंपॉर्टेंट कॉन्सेप्ट एज इन बिफोर द ब्रेक. ओके, लिसन टू मी वेरी केयरफुली. सर, अभी तक मैंने आपको समझाया था, अप टिल नाउ आई हैड एक्सप्लेन दैट अ चेक और एनी नेगोशिएबल इंस्ट्रूमेंट इज बेसिकली पेबल टू ऑर्डर or payable to bearer. Correct? Similarly, sir, when you talk about negotiable instrument, there are further two categories of negotiable instrument. One is called as demand instrument. The other one is called as time instrument. One is called as demand instrument. The other one is called as time instrument. What is the difference between these things, sir? What is the difference between a time instrument and a demand instrument? Can anyone tell me what is the difference between a time instrument and demand instrument? Can you tell me? Sir, let me give you two examples. Okay. If I make for example, I make a promissory note. Okay, I make a promissory note. And I say that in that promissory note, what do I write? I write that I promise to pay rupees 50,000 to Somesh on demand. Okay. On the other hand, I write on the promissory note, I write I promise to pay I promise to pay 50,000 to Somesh on demand के जगह I write in 3 months after date. सर यहां पे मैंने लिखा है इन 3 months आफ्टर डेट और लेफ्ट साइड में मैंने लिखा है ऑन डिमांड. दोनों में डिफरेंस क्या है सर? दोनों में डिफरेंस क्या है? दोनों में डिफरेंस ये है, द डिफरेंस इज दैट दिस प्रॉमिसरी नोट व्हेन यू गिव टू सोमेश, when you go and give this promissory note to Somesh, now you are saying Somesh, जब भी तेरे को पैसे चाहिए हो, whenever you need the money, just come to me and I will be obligated, I will be liable to pay you the money immediately. But on this, in this case, what I'm saying is, Somesh, today the date is 23rd July. Today the date is 23rd July. So whenever today the date is 23rd July. So 3 months from 23rd July, after 3 months from today, I will make you the payment of this check. So of this promissory note. So I am saying that here there is a very specific time period. There is a very specific time period and the time is a little later. It is not today. It is not on demand. It is basically whenever you come to me after that, whenever this date is, after 3 months, I'll issue you this, but I'll pay you this particular money. So this becomes a time instrument. So sir, this is a time instrument. This is a demand instrument. Sir, what are the other examples of demand instrument? Instead of writing on demand, I wrote, I promise to pay 50,000 to Somesh after sight. आफ्टर साइट मतलब क्या सर? आफ्टर साइट मतलब वेनेवर सोमेश को मैंने आज प्रॉमिसरी नोट दे दिया, उसके बाद प्रॉमिसरी नोट लेकर के सोमेश जब भी मेरे आंखों के सामने लाएगा, वेनेवर सोमेश ब्रिंग्स दिस प्रॉमिसरी नोट टू मी, आई विल हैव टू मेक द पेमेंट ऑफ दिस प्रॉमिसरी नोट. दिस इज कॉल्ड एज सर प्रॉमिसरी नोट आफ्टर साइट. मतलब जब उसने दिखाया तब मेरे को पेमेंट करना पड़ेगा. तीसरा सर, यू कैन ऑल्सो यूज द वर्ड ऑल्टरनेटिवली, यू कैन यूज द वर्ड ऑन प्रेजेंटमेंट. ऑन प्रेजेंटमेंट मतलब क्या सर? जब वो ला करके मेरे पास प्रॉमिसरी नोट प्रेजेंट करेगा, whenever he comes to me to present that particular promissory note, whenever he presents that promissory note to me, I'll have to make the payment. That is a promissory note, which is a demand instrument. But sir, on the contrary, whenever you are having a specific time limit, you are saying after date, or you are saying after certain months, or whatever these kind of things you are saying now, then in that case it is a time instrument. Sir, can you tell me something? If in my check I wrote that I promise to pay 50,000 to Somesh, listen to me very carefully, I promise to pay 50,000 rupees to pay Somesh 3 months after sight, is this a demand instrument or time instrument? If I promise to pay Somesh 50,000 rupees 3 months after sight, is this a demand instrument or is this a time instrument? Can you tell me? Is this a demand instrument or is this a time instrument? Bolo na sir. Is this a demand instrument or is this a time instrument? Bolo. Sir, it is a time instrument, because whenever he brings this to you, after that you are getting a time of 3 months. Okay, sir, today's date is 23rd July. Today's date is 23rd July. If I write that I promise to pay 50,000 to Somesh on 28th of July, on 28th of July, is this a demand instrument or time instrument? Is this a demand instrument or time instrument? Sir, you are writing it out at a fixed date. Is this a demand instrument or a time instrument? Sir, this is a, मैंने लेफ्ट साइड में लिखा तो उससे डिमांड नहीं हो जाता बेटा, दिमाग लगाओ, डिमांड नहीं. दिस इज अ टाइम इंस्ट्रूमेंट, बिकॉज अगेन यू आर स्पेसिफाइंग अ डेट. यू आर सेइंग 28 जुलाई को आई विल मेक द पेमेंट, सो इट इज अ स्पेसिफिक टाइम ऑन विच यू विल मेक द पेमेंट, सो इट इज अ टाइम इंस्ट्रूमेंट. सर, डिमांड इज सामने वाली की मर्जी, टाइम इज हमारी मर्जी. डिमांड इज सामने वाली की मर्जी और टाइम इज हमारी मर्जी. सो interestingly, the iPad got switched off at the right time. It's 8:28, guys. Let's take a break till 8:40 and then we will connect again at 8:40 and continue from here. Okay? We will take a break and we will continue from here. See you after the break. Okay, guys, we will take a break till 8:40. मेरा iPad भी ऑफ हो गया, मैं उसको चार्ज में लगा के ऑन कर लेता हूँ थोड़ी देर. ठीक है, चलो गाइस, see you at 8:40. Hey guys, are you all back? Are you all back? Are you all back, guys? What's up? मेरे को बस 1 मिनट दो, मेरे को मेरी स्क्रीन प्रेजेंट करने के लिए. सर आफ्टर साइट और प्रेजेंटमेंट में डिफरेंस क्या है बेटा? दोनों सेम है, समझ लो आप. अभी के लिए तो एक बार दोनों सेम है समझ लो. आप बस ये समझ लो तरीके होते हैं लिखने के. ऑन डिमांड और आफ्टर साइट में क्या फर्क है, वो भी तो वही बात हो गई ना. बट वो तरीके होते हैं बस लिखने के. ठीक है. तुम लोगों का why do I see a reduction in the volume in the number of students? Why do I see a reduction in the number of students? जब मैं कौन सा क्लास लिया था मैंने, चैप्टर 5 चैप्टर 6 का जो मैंने क्लास लिया था, where the rush was too much. Where are you all? I just want to see how many people are active right now. चलो फटाफट हाय 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 भेजो. हाय लगाओ मत, हाय भेजो. There is a difference between हाय लगाना and हाय भेजना. Tell me who all are active. Tell me who all are active. Hi, hi, hi. Okay. ठीक है, थोड़े से कम है लोग, लेकिन थोड़े से कम है लोग. तुम लोग थक गए. क्या होता है ना, इट इज इट इज इट इज परफेक्ट. इट इज परफेक्ट, यू नो. Every batch that starts with say 100 people, for example, it doesn't end with 100 people. Every students, oh, they're not. तो नलायको बोलो ना. मेनका, ज्योति, दिनेश, शिवम, लेवी, तुम लोग बोलो ना. सो क्यों रहे हो? Okay, guys, चलो, let's continue, guys. Let's continue. Okay, sir. So what was I teaching you, sir? What was I teaching you? Mohammed Farhad कहता है, I'm always available in your class. Okay, Mohammed, thank you. Listen to me. What was I saying? I was saying that instruments, जो negotiable instruments होते हैं, those can be of two kinds. One is time based, one is demand. Demand means what? जब मर्जी आया सो के उठ के आया, पैसे मांग लिया. जब मर्जी, whenever he needs it, he'll come to us and he'll ask for the money and we will have to pay that money. That is called as a demand instrument. What is time instrument? Time instrument is basically something which is payable after say certain period of days, certain period of months, or certain things. Okay, sir, tell me something. Can, can. Okay, tell me something. Check जो होता है, what is a check? Is it a time instrument or is it a demand instrument? A check, when I issue a check, is this a time instrument or is this a demand instrument? Is this a time instrument or is this a demand instrument? Sir, what is check? Check is a demand instrument purely. Check can never be a time instrument. Why, sir? Why so? Because, sir, this is my check. This is कहाँ गया? This is the check. Now, when I give this check to Somesh, Somesh के पास ना, from the date of this check, 3 महीने का वैलिडिटी होता है चेक का. देयर इज अ वैलिडिटी पीरियड, बट इस 3 महीने में कभी भी ले जा करके वो चेक जा करके बैंक में जमा कर सकता है एंड ही कैन पुल मनी फ्रॉम माय बैंक अकाउंट. सो सर प्लीज ऑलवेज रिमेंबर, अ चेक इज एब्सोल्युटली अ demand instrument. It is not a time instrument. So that brings me to a question. Sir, you said check is a form of bill of exchange, right? But check is not equal to bill of exchange. There is a little difference between check and bill of exchange. Bill of exchange का nature आपको पता है, sir. It should be writing, it should be signed, it should not be unconditional and stuff. Okay. So these features of bill of exchange are the same for check also. For check also, this is true that it should be writing, it should be signed, it should be unconditional and everything. But check में there are two additional features. One, the check is always payable on demand. The check is always payable on demand, but on the other hand, bills of exchange can be either demand instrument or time instrument, right? तो ये demand instrument भी हो सकते हैं या time instrument भी हो सकते हैं, but check जो है, it is always payable on demand. And sir, in case of check, there are three parties, right? Drawer, drawer, drawee, and payee, right? There are three parties. Now, in case of bills of exchange, the drawee can be any person. जैसे कि अमर, शुभम और एंथनी का केस था, the drawer was whom? Sorry, the drawee was whom? Amar. कि हम अमर को ऑर्डर दे रहे हैं कि भाई तू पे कर. But in case of check, the drawer will always be a specified banker. It will always be a specified banker, but in case of bills of exchange, it can be any person. So because of two specific conditions, a check becomes a little different for bills of exchange. So sir, will you allow me to say that all checks are bills of exchange, but all bills of exchange are not check? All bills of exchange are not check. जितने भी checks होते हैं, all of them are bills of exchange, but bills of exchange जो है वो check नहीं होता है. आदर्श, मैंने 3 महीने ही कहा ना बेटा वैलिडिटी. मैंने क्या कहा वैलिडिटी? I said 3 months only ना. The validity for a check is 3 months. You can go to that in any time. पूजा, we will make it. पूजा, YouTube की बातें अभी नहीं, YouTube की बातें अलग से कर लेंगे. अभी अपन क्लास की बात करते हैं. सर द डे, Pooja, beta, practical knowledge. You need a little practical knowledge. There is already a date mentioned. What is this date, beta? This is the date of issue of check. आप जब issue करते हो ना check, आप जब देते हो, that is the date. This date is only relevant for counting the period of 3 months. But the check is payable on demand, because if I give this check to you, you don't have to go today. You can go anytime within the next 3 months. आप कल चले जाओ, 1 महीने बाद चले जाओ. You can go to the bank and claim this check. Now sir, coming back to our concepts. So check and bills of exchange का difference you understood. Now sir, let's get into a little detail of check. अच्छा, more detail. अरे पार्टी अभी तो शुरू हुई है. अभी तो पार्टी शुरू हुई है. Do you understand? Sir, check में there are two kinds of check that I want to explain to you. One is electronic form में check. दूसरा is truncated check. Please understand carefully. This concept is not very much important from exam point of view, but this concept is definitely definitely included in your notes, so you will have to understand this. Sir, there is one category of check which is called as physical check. Sir, physical check mein, what is the biggest problem? Because see, checks are used a lot. Okay, so if you see, if you ever take a checkbook, the number of leaves, what did I say sir? Leaf क्या होता है sir? एक check को एक leaf बोलते हैं. So the number of leaves in a checkbook is relatively low. You'll see they'll always give 5, 7, 10 checkbooks. उससे ज़्यादा checks नहीं देते. Why? Because they don't want to promote that much. They want to promote e-mode of transfer कि बस तुम electronically transfer करो. But the biggest problem is that if I were to make a payment after 2 months, मतलब if I were to not issue an immediately check, अगर मेरे को, if Shubham had to pay 50,000 rupees to Somnath, how can Shubham pay Somnath after 2 months? After 2 months, then how can Shubham pay this to Somnath after 2 months? What he can do is he can issue a check. Okay, and in this check, when he writes the date now, he will not write 23rd July. He will not write 23rd July. Instead, he will write 23rd September. उससे क्या होगा सर? ये चेक की वैलिडिटी स्टार्ट होगी 23rd September से, और उसके बाद this will be valid for 3 months. So now what you did was you issued a check to Somnath, which is with the validity of which starts after 2 months. So if Somnath goes to bank today, for example 25th July को अगर Somnath चला जाएगा बैंक में, bank will not accept this instrument. Bank will say that boss, this is a post dated check. Sir, these checks are called post PDC. अगर आपने जिंदगी में कभी सुना होगा, these are post dated checks. It means that boss, please take this check, but don't put it today, put it today, after a few months. So for example sir, imagine a situation, I am Shubham. Okay, इसमें imagine क्या सर, मैं हूं ना शुभम, I am Shubham. Okay, I have a classes for example. Okay, one student came to me, Somesh, and said that sir, I really don't have any money. Let me do this. Let me take your classes. Then I will qualify my inter. After I qualify my inter, I'll start doing articleship. And when I start doing articleship, now I'll earn stipend. From that stipend, I'll pay you the money. I'll pay you that money. I said make sense, but how would I know that after clearing your inter you'll pay me the money? How would I know that you'll not stop answering my calls? So what Somnath can do is Somnath will say, sir, आपको भरोसा नहीं है ना, आप एक काम करो, आप मेरे चेक ले लो. ये चेक में जो डेट है ना, वो डेट में डाल देता हूं आज से 6 महीने बाद की. सो टुडे इज जुलाई, आई विल पुट अ डेट ऑफ डिसंबर, 15th December को आई विल प्रॉमिस टू पे यू 5,000 rupees फॉर एग्जांपल. So this 5,000 rupees का check you can go then and put in the bank. अगर मेरे बैंक अकाउंट में पैसा होगा ना, they'll pull it from my bank account. They'll just pull it from my bank account, and this is how this can be settled. So what did Somesh do? He issued me a post-dated check. Why did he have to issue me a post-dated check? So that Shubham has a little comfort कि हाँ भाई पक्का दे देगा वो, उसने तो अपने चेक भी साइन करके दे दिया है. तो 15th December को I can go and pull my 5,000 rupees from his bank account because that is when the check validity starts. Now coming back to the topic, checks जो होते हैं ना सर फिजिकल फॉर्म में होते हैं, बहुत ज्यादा सर्कुलेट होते हैं. नाउ द प्रॉब्लम इज दैट यू हैव टू कम अप विद अ वे to make everyone's life easy. How do you make everyone's life easy, sir? By automating things or by making things in electronic form. So the first kind of check that we are going to talk about is electronic form mein check. So when I opened a bank account with HDFC HDFC gave me two options. One is, do you want physical check or do you want electronic form mein check? अगर तुमको physical check चाहिए, you will have to pay X amount extra because checkbook का cost होता है. Now if I would have opted for electronic form, if I would have said I need the check in electronic form, what HDFC would have done is, वो मेरे को जो मोबाइल बैंकिंग या नेट बैंकिंग देते हैं ना, उसमें वो मेरे को इलेक्ट्रॉनिकली चेक्स इशू करते. और ये जो चेक्स है ना, इसको मैं साइन करना होता है इशू करने के लिए, तो साइन भी ये डिजिटल सिग्नेचर के थ्रू होता है. डिजिटल सिग्नेचर इज समथिंग सर, I don't know if you have learned about it. It is not there in law per se. I don't know if it is there in any other subject. But what is digital signature, sir? You'll understand digital signature better in your articleship, but digital signature is a way that you can put your signature on a computer document, and it is a very valid signature. वो signature नहीं कि आपने copy paste कर दिया. No, it is a proper valid signature that you can put on documents in electronic form. So that is how you will sign this electronic form ka signature, and you can then issue this to any person. So what will happen, sir? Because of this thing, you will not be required to issue physical checks anymore. So it will save two things. One is the cost of printing the paper. दूसरा, अगर आप physical check issue कर रहे हो, मान लो शुभम is issuing a physical check to Somesh. तो Somesh lives in Delhi, Shubham lives in Mumbai. So he'll have to send the check via courier, right? फिर वो गुम गया तो उसमें अलग तकलीफ. So now there are no issues. You can directly send it electronically. It saves the time also, right? So this is electronic check. Electronic check is basically, sir, आपका जो physical check है, that has now become electronic check. Okay, but अरे डिम्पल कहती है सर कंडीशनल हो गया अगर इंटर के बाद पे करेंगे तो. पर बेटा वो एग्जाम्पल था, पर वो कंडीशनल नहीं हुआ डिम्पल, क्योंकि उसने मेरे को चेक तो दे ही दिया ना. चेक में उसने लिखा थोड़ी कि अगर मैं इंटर पास करूंगा तो ही ये चेक वैलिड होगा. He gave me a check and that's it. The check doesn't have any condition, so it is not a conditional check. वो तो हमारा अंडरस्टैंडिंग ऐसा था, कंडीशनल था करके उसने मेरे को दे दिया, but the check was not a conditional check. It was an unconditional check. उसमें चेक में कुछ लिखा नहीं था कि मैं इंटर पास करूंगा तो ये चेक वैलिड होगा. ठीक है, अब से मेरी बात सुनो, लिसन टू मी वेरी केयरफुली. यू स्टिल अंडरस्टूड इलेक्ट्रॉनिक फॉर्म मतलब फिजिकल फॉर्म का ई फॉर्म बहुत ईजी है. सर व्हाट इज ट्रंकेटेड चेक? अंडरस्टैंड आराम से. ओके सर, यू विल हैव टू अंडरस्टैंड दिस अ लिटिल बिट. थोड़ा हाई लेवल कॉन्सेप्ट है, एक ही बार समझाऊंगा, नॉट वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट फ्रॉम एग्जाम पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू, बट सम पीपल डोंट लेट इट गो, इंक्लूडिंग माई सेल्फ. मैं छोड़ता नहीं हूँ चीजें, तो एक बार समझाऊंगा, आराम से सुनो, समझ आ जाएगा. सर, आई हैव अ बैंक अकाउंट विद HDFC बैंक. आई एम शुभम. Shubham gave a 50,000 check to whom? Shubham gave a 50,000 check to Somesh. Somesh has a bank account with Axis Bank. Now what happens is, when I gave this checkbook to Somesh, Somesh took this checkbook and went to Axis Bank and said, Axis, I have to take 50,000 from Shubham. Shubham ka bank account is HDFC. Can you take money from that? Then what will happen, sir? Ideally, what will happen is Axis will go to HDFC Bank and say, HDFC, I have to take rupees 50,000 from you. Can you pay me the 50,000? HDFC will verify कि बॉस हमने चेक इशू किया था, इज दिस अ वैलिड चेक. देन इट विल मेक द पेमेंट. हाउ विल इट मेक द पेमेंट? शुभम का जो बैंक अकाउंट है ना, बैंक अकाउंट में इट विल डिडक्ट 50,000 rupees and it will make the payment. This is how the check is routed. But sir, the problem is that if in this process where Axis Bank has to go to HDFC Bank, Axis Bank will actually have to send the check to him. Physical copy of check भेजना पड़ेगा from Axis Bank to HDFC Bank. Now understand sir, similarly ऐसा भी कोई transaction होगा जिसमें Axis would have issued check and that check came to HDFC and HDFC has to go to Axis Bank. Similarly ऐसा भी कोई केस हुआ होगा ना, where Axis Bank has issued a check and that check came to Shubham and Shubham is going to HDFC Bank and HDFC is saying Axis मेरे को तेरे से पैसे लेने. तो सर यहाँ पे इनको पैसे HDFC से लेने हैं और यहाँ पे HDFC को पैसे देने. मान लो एक्सिस बैंक को HDFC से 1,000 करोड़ रुपए लेने हैं. और मान लो HDFC को एक्सिस से 500 करोड़ रुपए लेने हैं. So sir, does it not make more sense to, instead of paying 1000 crore and receiving 500 crore, you can take net settlement? You can make net settlement कि भाई मेरे को तेरे से कितना मिलना है, तेरे को मेरे से कितना मिलना है, नेट नेट सेटल कर लेते हैं. ठीक है. तो सर ये जो नेट नेट सेटल करने वाला प्रोसेस होता है ना, दैट is not something that banks will do. What will happen is banks have created something called as clearing house. Clearing house. All the checks of Axis Bank will go to clearing house. All the checks with HDFC Bank, all the check with SBI Bank, and everything will go to clearing house. And then clearing house will say what? इससे इसको इतना लेना है, इससे इसको इतना लेना है. So they will merge it and say the net amount. Sir, basically वो काम जो आपका split wise करता है. What is split wise? Sir, split wise is basically an app from which if you are a group of friends, you are going on a trip. Okay, and there are 5 people. So everyone keeps on spending. There is no limit of spending. So what you can do is in splitwise, you can upload what amount you have spent. And once you upload it, splitwise automatically splits it between people. So sir, splitwise जैसे होता है ना, वैसे ही clearing house काम करता है. Now what clearing house will do is it will tell the net amount and then net settlement will happen. But sir, even for clearing house to do such activities, you will have to send such physical checks. आपको फिजिकल चेक्स भेजने पड़ेंगे. तो सर फिजिकल चेक्स को ट्रक में भेजने का खर्चा, ये सारा बहुत होता है. और खर्चा तो ठीक है, अलग से टाइम लगता है, बिकॉज यू सेंड इट टुडे इवनिंग, इट रीचेस टू देम टुमारो मॉर्निंग. इट इज टाइम कंज्यूमिंग प्रोसेस. सो इन ऑर्डर टू अवॉइड दैट, व्हाट डिड दे डू? In the checkbook, if you will see, if you have a checkbook with you, if you ever have a checkbook with you, if you will see at the bottom of the check, I don't know if you can see my screen, but at the bottom of the check here, you see there are numbers. These numbers are, I'll show you an image also. These numbers are called as MICR code. तो इन्होंने सर एक MICR कोड बनाया. अब what banks do is, instead of sending these physical things now, what they do is they send a scan. So what they do is they scan the check, and all the scanned checks they send to clearing house, and clearing house has an automatic system. Sir, proper एक मशीन आता है स्कैन का, उसमें स्कैन करके भेजते हैं. उनके पास इतना अच्छा सिस्टम है कि वो स्कैन इतना अच्छा होता है कि चेक में से जो भी कंटेंट है ना, दैट गेट्स पिक्ड अप and is uploaded in the system. मतलब automate हो जाता है. Merely by scanning, you are able to automate the whole process, and that saves a lot of time. So sir, this whole process, this sending of the scan instead of the physical check is called as truncated check. A concept which is not frequently or ever asked in exam, but you will have to understand what is truncated check. Truncated check is, sir, basically a scanned copy of your check so that the clearing houses can do the clearing process. Who can do, sir? The clearing houses can do the clearing process. Okay, Hitesh कह रहा है SBI is the clearing house. I am not very sure, but if you are saying, I can hear that for a bit. Clearing house जो है वो अपन SBI को बना देते हैं, और एक बार मैं आपको चेक भी करके बता दूंगा. I have not checked it. Okay guys, now listen to me very carefully. So these are the two kinds of check. One is electronic form and truncated check. Now let's come to a very अब सर, अब जो मैं आपको बताने वाला हूं ना, that is something which is very important from exam point of view and very easy sir, very easy. If you understand the concept, अगर तुम्हारे दिमाग में थोड़ा सा भी businessman बसता है ना, you will understand it like this. क्यों सर? बिकॉज दिस इज एन एक्ट फॉर बिजनेसमैन यार. दिस इज एन एक्ट विच हैज कम इन प्लेस फॉर कमर्शियल डिसीजन. मेरे को बस एक बात बताओ, मैं इतना धीरे बोल रहा हूं तो तुमको मेरी आवाज क्लियरली सुनाई दे रही है ना? आर यू एबल टू क्लियरली हियर मी ना? बिकॉज आई हैव टू टीच अ वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट कॉन्सेप्ट. आर यू एबल टू हियर मी क्लियरली? जस्ट टेल मी. Yeah. Just asking the students because उनका लैपटॉप वगैरह कैसा होता है. Guys, tell me now, can you hear me clearly? Okay, guys, this is a check. Okay, this is a check. Now listen to me very carefully, very carefully. Okay, what happens with a check, sir? Simple है. HDFC बैंक का चेक है, राइट? HDFC बैंक का चेक बुक है. HDFC बैंक में किसका अकाउंट है? शुभम का अकाउंट है, राइट? शुभम issued 50,000 rupees का चेक to whom? Sumesh. Now I told you Sumesh has two options. One is to go to HDFC Bank and say, HDFC, I have this check from Shubham. Can you pay me rupees 50,000 in cash? Can you pay me rupees 50,000 in cash? And the bank will pay 50,000 in cash to Somesh. Okay, that's one option. The other option is that Somesh can go to his own bank, Axis Bank, and Axis Bank will then go to HDFC Bank, and HDFC Bank say it will take 50,000 rupees. Sir, what is the difference between both these processes? The difference between both these processes, यहाँ पे cash में पैसे मिल जाते हैं. Okay. Here, what happens is, in this case, what happens is, Axis Bank के case, in this case, when Axis Bank is involved, the cash comes in the bank account. पैसे HDFC से Axis के bank account में जाते हैं. Sir, मेरे को एक बात बताओ, इतने से understanding पे, tell me which one is the safer mode of transaction? Which one is the safer mode of transaction? Which one is the safer mode of transaction? So the safer mode of transaction is going via a bank. I'll tell you why. Sir, understand. If by mistake I had my checkbook signed and I did not write a name here. I did not write a name here and I signed here. By mistake I did not write a name here और तुम समझ लो अगर अमाउंट भी नहीं लिखा, मतलब ये मेरा चेकबुक है और यहाँ अगर नीचे से मैंने सिग्नेचर कर दिया तो हम उसको कहते हैं ब्लैंक चेक, जो हम लोग बॉलीवुड मूवीज में देखते हैं, रख ब्लैंक चेक, क्या है तेरी कीमत बता. So that is called as blank check. But blank check में सबसे बड़ा problem क्या है? If this is a checkbook and I have kept it, okay. Now while cleaning the home or something, one of our staff found this checkbook and he saw, this is a blank check. What he'll do is he'll take the check, he will put his name here, say staff, and he will write 50 lakh rupees, and he'll go to his HDFC bank. He will go to my HDFC bank and say, see, Shubham has given me this check. He has signed this checkbook. This is payable to me. Here is my name and give me this money. Sir, is the bank obligated to give you the money? Absolutely yes, the bank is obligated to give you the money. Why? Because this is a negotiable instrument. This is a check which has been given by payable to order, and this has been signed, and there is a certain sum. So you will absolutely have to make the payment. But sir, ये तो थोड़ा problem हो गया ना. This is risky. So sir, इसीलिए life में there came a solution which is called as crossing a check. Crossing of a check, which is very important. What does crossing of a check means? Sir, crossing of a check मतलब क्या? आपका जो checkbook होता है ना, if you ever see your dad, if you ever see someone filling a check, you will always see that they usually end up doing like this at the side of their check. They always used to draw two parallel transverse lines at the cross. आप कहीं भी ड्रॉ कर सकते हो सर, आप यहां भी ड्रॉ कर सकते हो, आप यहां भी ड्रॉ कर सकते हो, कहीं भी ड्रॉ कर सकते हो, बट यू ड्रॉ टू लाइंस यूजुअली. इन प्रैक्टिस आप अगर बिजनेसमैन को देखोगे तो वो राइट साइड में, लेफ्ट साइड में दो लाइन ड्रॉ करते हैं. What does this mean, sir? What is the significance of this particular thing? This particular thing is first of all called as crossing. What is it called? It is called crossing a check. So when you cross a check, this check becomes a cross check. Now, yes. So Rama is saying if the amount is high, they will verify. But ठीक है, वो समझ लो 50,000 रुपए भी अगर नुकसान हो रहा है तो हो ही रहा है ना. मान लो 50,000 है तो 50,000 तो दे देंगे, वो तो वेरीफाई नहीं करेंगे. Now what will happen is if I cross on the check, what will happen? Understand? Crossing simply means that this is an instruction to my banker. This is an instruction to my drawee, or this is an instruction to my HDFC banker. ये दो क्रॉस करके what am I trying to tell HDFC bank? मैं HDFC bank को बोल रहा हूँ, HDFC bank, you will not make payment of this check over the counter, OTC. मतलब क्या? If someone comes to the bank and says कि boss, this is the check, give me 50,000, you will not make payment in cash. Instead, you will only pay to the banker. यहाँ पे banker मतलब सर आप समझ लो हमारे एग्जाम्पल का एक्सिस बैंक. मतलब हम क्या कह रहे हैं? हम ये कह रहे हैं कि HDFC बैंक, मैंने ये चेक क्रॉस किया है ना, this means that you will not give any money in cash. If at all you have to give money, you will transfer this 50,000 only to a different bank account. So understand, even if my staff found that checkbook, he directly cannot go to HDFC bank. What that staff will have to do is, he will have to go to that place where he has a bank account. तो उसको जाना पड़ेगा Axis Bank में, जहां पे उसका बैंक अकाउंट है. And when he goes to Axis Bank, Axis will go to HDFC, and then HDFC will have to make the payment of 50,000. तो सर क्या फर्क पड़ रहा है? 50,000 तो देना पड़ ही गया ना, क्या बचा आपका? हमको लगा पैसा नहीं देना पड़ेगा, बट यहाँ पे 50,000 तो यू हैव टू पे ओनली ना, सो व्हाट इज लेफ्ट? But boss, understand na, here you are making the payment to a bank account, and this staff is a customer of bank account. It means that Axis Bank has all the details of this particular staff. So at least you know who has taken that money. At least you have the details of all the details, the bank account details, the address and everything of the who has taken the money. कल को अगर गलत प्रूफ होता है, कल को अगर आप प्रूफ कर देते हो कि उसने चोरी किया है, you can always pull the money back. You can always pull the money back. So there is a chance of recovery at least. So sir, what you usually do is, even if you are keeping a signed check now, just make sure you cross that check. Crossing means, what is crossing sir? Crossing से कुछ नहीं बदलता है. Crossing से nothing changes, just one thing happens. It is merely an instruction to my banker that boss, when someone comes claiming this 50,000, you don't give it to them in cash. You can only give it by transferring it to via a banker. तो सर अगर Axis Bank में अगर ये staff को इस पैसों को in cash करवाना है ना, he will have to have a bank account at least in one bank. सर अभी फॉर एग्जाम्पल जो हमारे घर में क्लीनिंग करते हैं, ठीक है, डू दे हैव अ बैंक अकाउंट? डू दे हैव अ बैंक अकाउंट? नो. सो इन केस इफ दे डोंट हैव अ बैंक अकाउंट ना, ब्लैंक चेक इज यूजलेस फॉर देम. अ ब्लैंक चेक which is signed, which is crossed, is useless for them. But if it is not crossed now, then in that case it becomes a problem. Now sir, when you talk about crossing, when you when you talk about crossing, there are different types of crossing. There are different types of crossing. What is different types of crossing sir? First is general crossing. सर जनरल क्रॉसिंग मतलब क्या? आपने चेकबुक में क्रॉस किया, ऐसे नहीं, ऐसे क्रॉस करते हो, आपने क्रॉस किया, बस आपने इसमें कुछ लिखा नहीं, यू जस्ट क्रॉस्ड इट. सो जनरल क्रॉसिंग का मतलब क्या होता है? It is just an instruction to banker that you will make the payment only to a different banker and not in cash. Now sir, there is a second type of crossing which is called as special crossing. What is special crossing? Sorry, specific crossing. What is specific crossing, sir? Can anyone tell me what is specific crossing? What do you mean by special crossing or specific crossing? So special crossing or specific crossing means that in your checkbook, you make a cross. That is, तो crossing में हर जगह cross तो बनाना पड़ेगा, वो तो obvious है. लेकिन after making the cross ना, listen to me very carefully. You write the name of the bankers. You, for example, HDFC का चेकबुक है ये, सो यू में एंड अप राइटिंग दैट क्रॉस्ड टू एसबीआई. मतलब क्या सर? क्रॉसिंग जनरल और स्पेशल क्रॉसिंग में फर्क क्या है? आई थिंक दिस इज नॉट स्पेसिफिक, दिस इज स्पेशल. मेरे को स्पेसिफिक याद नहीं आ रहा है, बट दिस इज स्पेशल क्रॉसिंग. जनरल और स्पेशल में फर्क क्या है सर? ऊपर कुछ नहीं लिखा हुआ है, नीचे एक बैंकर का नाम लिखा हुआ है. इट मींस व्हाट? इट मींस दैट ये चेकबुक है एचडीएफसी का और शुभम इशू कर रहे हैं. शुभम जाएगा सोमनाथ के पास. अब सोमनाथ को सॉरी सोमेश के पास, एंड इफ सोमेश हैज टू टेक मनी ना, इफ सोमेश हैज टू टेक दिस 50,000 rupees, सोमेश will have to go to only SBI bank. If he goes to Axis Bank, if he goes to RBL Bank, all these banks, it is of no use. He will have to go to only SBI Bank, and HDFC will only make payment to SBI Bank. So if only SBI Bank is coming, then only I'll make the payment. Sir, पर मेरे को क्या पता सोमेश का क्या अकाउंट है? So you will ask Somesh. If you want to create a special check, if you want to be very careful, you will always ask Somesh, in which account do you have bank? He'll say SBI, so I'll write SBI. If he says no, मेरा SBI में नहीं है, अगर वो कहता है मेरा Axis में है, नहीं वो कहता है मेरा IDBI में है, तो IDBI से मैं यहाँ पे क्या लिखूंगा? मैं SBI लिखने की जगह I'll write IDBI. I'll write IDBI. It means that you are instructing the banker कि बॉस बैंकर कि कौन सा बैंकर? अपने बैंकर को, the paying bank को. Sir, can I tell you that here HDFC is the paying bank and here IDBI is the collecting bank, right? दोनों है banker, but one is the paying banker, one is the collecting banker. You always give instruction to your banker, who is the HDFC. So Shubham is saying to HDFC bank that boss, you will make payment only to that specified banker that is mentioned in here. If you are not making payment to that specified banker, then you are the one who is guilty. I am not the guilty person. ठीक है? उसके बाद सर तीसरा, what is the third kind of check? The third kind of check is restrictive crossing. The third kind of crossing is restrictive crossing, in which again you make a cross, but here in the cross, in between the cross, you write the word account payee. Sir, in the cross, you write account payee. Sir, what does account payee means? It is very important. Please understand. Sir, let me explain you a little. Sir, if I write a checkbook, okay, and I write pay rupees 50,000 to Somesh. If I write pay 50,000 to Somesh, okay, and I cross this checkbook, and I cross this checkbook. Now my question is, Shubham gave this checkbook to Somesh, right? Can Somesh now give this check to Dimple? Can Somesh now give this check to Dimple? If yes, how will he endorse it? How will he give it? तो सर सुनो 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 चेकबुक इज ऑल्दो पेबल ऑन डिमांड. चेकबुक इज पेबल ऑन डिमांड. सर मेरे को एक बात बताओ, ये जो चेकबुक होता है ये पेबल बाय ऑर्डर है कि पेबल टू बेरर है? Is this check that I have given, is this payable by order or is this payable by demand? Payable by order or payable to bearer? Payable to order or payable to bearer? What is it? Sir, this is pay to Sumesh लिखा है, या फिर आगे लिख सकते हो or order. So this is something which is payable to order. So now if it is a payable to order checkbook, to transfer it, you will have to endorse it and then deliver it. हाउ विल यू एंडोर्स इट सर? ये अगर आप देखोगे चेकबुक जो होता है, तो चेकबुक के पीछे अगर आप देखोगे तो ये पेज ब्लैंक होता है. अगर आप चेकबुक का देखोगे, चेकबुक देखोगे तो इसके पीछे का साइड जो है वो ब्लैंक होता है. नाउ इन द बैक साइड ऑफ दिस व्हाट विल सोमेश डू? सोमेश विल राइट नीचे, ये बैक साइड है सर, ये बैक साइड है, उसमें सोमेश विल राइट पे टू क्रेडिटर. कौन है सर क्रेडिटर? मिस डिम्पल. And then he will make his own sign. Somesh अपना sign करेगा. So this is called as sir endorsing of a check, and then he will deliver this to whom? He will deliver this to whom? He will deliver this to Dimple. Now sir, this is called negotiable instrument. Why? Because you are able to endorse it and then deliver it. Am I right? Yes sir. Now tell me something. If I cross this check, can Somesh then transfer it to Dimple? अगर एक बार आप क्रॉस कर देते हो तो क्या आप फिर डिम्पल को दे सकते हो? सर अगर आप एक बार चेक को क्रॉस कर देते हो, क्या आप डिम्पल को दे सकते हो? सर देखो, क्रॉस अगर कर दिया ना, द ओनली थिंग दैट चेंजेस इज दैट पेमेंट सर बैंक अकाउंट में जाएगा. कुछ सोमेश के जाए डिम्पल के जाए सारी चीजें वैसी की वैसी रहेगी, कोई चीजें नहीं बदलेगी, आप एकदम भेज सकते हो. लेकिन सर अगर उसने क्रॉस करके अंदर लिख दिया एसबीआई, अगर उसने अंदर लिख दिया एसबीआई, तो क्या फिर आप डिम्पल को दे सकते हो? अगर आपने अंदर लिख दिया एसबीआई, मतलब क्या आपने स्पेशल क्रॉसिंग कर दिया, तो क्या फिर आप वो चेक को डिम्पल को दे सकते हो? द आंसर इज यस, बट द ओनली कंडीशन इज डिम्पल के पास भी एसबीआई अकाउंट होना चाहिए, तभी जाकर के शी कैन क्लेम. अगर नहीं है एसबीआई अकाउंट तो वो क्लेम नहीं कर पाएगी, फिर आपको ये चेक कैंसिल करवा के नया चेक इशू करवाना पड़ेगा जिसमें आप डिम्पल के बैंक अकाउंट का नाम लिख रहे हो. ठीक है. सो द पॉइंट इज दैट क्रॉसिंग ओनली, what does crossing impact? Crossing only impacts the transfer कि बैंक से बैंक में होगा, पर नेगोशिएशन में कोई फर्क नहीं आता. You can always endorse it and deliver it to other person. But sir जब आप restrictive crossing की बात कर रहे हो, what are you doing? When you are writing about restrictive crossing, you are writing account payee. Account payee मतलब क्या सर? जब आपने चेक इशू किया था तो आपने लिखा था पे ₹50,000 to Mr. सोमनाथ, सोमेश, मिस्टर सोमेश. सो सर दिस मिस्टर सोमेश को जो पेमेंट है ना, तो ये जो है ना, ये अकाउंट पे जब आपने लिख दिया, इट मींस दैट आप सोमेश के अलावा किसी को पेमेंट नहीं करोगे. मतलब सर उस केस में ये चेक जो है ना, इट इज नॉट ट्रांसफरेबल. चेक इज नॉट ट्रांसफरेबल. आप सोमेश के अलावा किसी और को नहीं पे करोगे. सर when you write the word account payee, it means that you cannot transfer this check to anyone else. Why sir? सर ऐसा तो नहीं कर सकते ना. नेगोशिएबल इंस्ट्रूमेंट तो वही होता है ना जो नेगोशिएबल, जो ट्रांसफर हो सकता है. इफ इट इज नॉट ट्रांसफरेबल, हाउ इज इट अ नेगोशिएबल इंस्ट्रूमेंट? तो सर कह भी नहीं रहे हैं हम नेगोशिएबल इंस्ट्रूमेंट है, हम आपको ये बता रहे हैं, वी आर सेइंग दैट दिस इज अ practically in business, this is something which you use very frequently. But sir, this is not a negotiable instrument. आपके there is no recognition in law में there is no recognition for such instrument, but in practical life a lot of people issue an account paycheck. I'll tell you why. For example, if I'm registering with ICAI, okay, and I'm making a payment to ICAI, if I'm making a payment to ICAI for say 5,000 rupees, now I know very clearly that that payment has to go to ICAI only. वो आगे किसी को ट्रांसफर नहीं होना. It is not supposed to be negotiable. So I can simply write account pay because I am safe. So if the check goes in wrong hands also, no one can misutilize it. So that if the check goes in wrong hand also, for example, I'm sending it from here to institute, what can happen is, I'll tell you what can happen. How can things go wrong? Sir, if I had made a check in the name of pay rupees 5,000 to ICAI, ठीक है, to ICAI, and then I just crossed this, okay? I just crossed this to say कि बस बैंक में ही पेमेंट करना. Okay, I didn't write account pay. What will happen now? I send this via post, India Post. अब post में जो the delivery guy, he was very smart. He had taken my classes of negotiable instruments. So what he did was, he took this check out. He took this check out from the envelope. He didn't deliver it to ICA. What he did was he took this check out and he, in the back of the check, he endorsed it. Endorse बोल लो दोनों same होता है. He endorsed it. How did he do it? He said pay to Mr. X. And then he forged the signature of ICI. क्या किया उसने? ICI का signature का forgery कर दिया. Forgery as in what? He copied the signature of ICI and he sold this check to Mr. X. Who was Mr. X, sir? Mr. X क्या बोल रहा था? Mr. X क्या बोल रहा था? मेरे पास कैश में 1 लाख रुपया है. I'll give you कैश में 1 लाख रुपया. You give me बैंक में सिर्फ 50,000 रुपया. सिर्फ 50,000 रुपया. Why? Because he wanted to show white money or something. He needed that money, sir. या फिर आपने कुछ तो किया सर, आपने Mr. X से goods खरीदा. You bought goods from Mr. X and you endorsed this check in favor of Mr. X. ऐसा हो सकता है? बिल्कुल हो सकता है सर. Now what will happen is, even if you do this, अगर ये account pay check है ना, account pay check है ना, now when Mr. X will come to HDFC Bank for asking for payment, HDFC will say Namaskaram, not needed. We can only make payment to ICAI because this is an account pay check. So sir, in practical life, you issue a lot of account pay check because that is practically more necessary, because endorsement इतना नहीं होता सर, चेक का इतना endorsement नहीं होता, और आजकल के जमाने में और भी नहीं होता. Okay, now guys, next, मेरी बात सुनो. Sir, so I was explaining to you there is a restrictive check which is very important. You use the word account payee. Can you tell me what is the next kind of check? The next kind of check is, sir, non-negotiable. Non-negotiable check. Non-negotiable check क्या होता है सर? आपने चेकबुक में आपने क्रॉस किया और आपने क्रॉस करने के बाद यहां पे आपने लिख दिया not negotiable. This is called as a not negotiable check. What is the feature of not negotiable? Sir, आप यहां लिखो not negotiable, यहां लिखो, कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता. You can write it anywhere outside or inside the parallel lines. But what is not negotiable check, sir? What is not negotiable check? Sir, not negotiable check is something which can be transferred. Definitely you can transfer it. मतलब अगर आप चाहते हो तो आप किसी और के नाम पे endorse करके उसको delivery दे सकते हो, but still it is not a negotiable check. है? सर मैंने आपको क्लास के शुरू में बोला था, आई टोल्ड यू एट द स्टार्ट दैट आई विल टेल यू नेगोशिएबल चेक्स आर checks, that is documents which are transferable. Basically negotiable instrument means documents which are transferable, but I told you that I'll explain you this is not the complete definition. Sir, what is the original definition of negotiable instrument? I'll tell you. Sir, negotiable instrument means, oh look at my notes, look at my notes, the first page. अब आपको समझेगा. Sir, here I have written introduction में meaning of negotiable instrument. What is negotiable instrument? A negotiable instrument means a promissory note, bills of exchange or check payable either to order or to bearer. या तो आप ऑर्डर को पेमेंट कर रहे हो या बेयरर को पेमेंट कर रहे हो. और फिर सर ऑर्डर क्या होता है, बेयरर क्या होता है, उसका मैंने एक्सप्लेनेशन डाला है. बट सर यहां पे एक बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट नोट है, ये पढ़ो. द प्रॉपर्टी इन सच नेगोशिएबल इंस्ट्रूमेंट passes to a bona fide transferee for value. क्या सर? The property in such negotiable instrument passes to a bona fide transferee for value. Sir, that is notwithstanding any defect in title of any prior party. मतलब सर क्या बोल रहा हूं पता है? ये कहना ये चाह रहा है कि अगर मेरे पास एक चेक आया है और उसको मैंने गुड तरीके से, गुड फेथ में, बिना कोई गलती करे अगर मैंने वो चेक रिसीव किया है, सो आई विल हैव द राइट टाइटल ऑन दैट पर्टिकुलर चेक. आई विल से दैट दिस इज माय चेक एंड आई एम वेरी मच एलिजिबल टू क्लेम द चेक. समझो सर, in my example of ICAI, what happened, sir? In my example of ICAI, I had said that this was not an account pay check. ठीक है? This was not an account pay check. ठीक है? This was a cross check. समझ लो, बस एक simple crossing था इसमें. It was simple crossing. Now understand what the post office guy, the delivery guy, what did he do? He forged the signature of ICAI. उसने कॉपी कर लिया और उसने मिस्टर एक्स को क्या किया? मिस्टर एक्स से उसने खरीदा था गुड्स. ये जो पोस्ट ऑफिस वाला है ना, इसने मिस्टर एक्स से खरीदा था गुड्स. अब गुड्स के बदले में पेमेंट करना था सर 5,000 रुपए का. He had to make a payment of 5,000 rupees. So what this post office guy did now, he gave this check. He endorsed this check in favor of Mr. X. Now tell me something, sir. If I have a car, if Shubham has a, if I have a car, Shubham has a car called Creta. Okay, that Creta got stolen. किसी ने चोरी कर लिया. स्टोल करने के बाद उसने बेच दिया रामू को this car. Someone, Shyam, stole this car and then he sold this car to Ramu. Now tell me something. Does Shyam has a good title on that car? No, sir. The car belongs to Shubham. He has not sold it to Shyam. So Shyam does not have a good title on the car. My question is, can Shyam pass on title to Ramu? Can Shyam pass on a good title to Ramu? Sir, if he has purchased in good faith, he has exercised reasonable due diligence and everything, then yes, Ramu will probably have a good title. Similarly for negotiable instrument, यहाँ पे this guy जो चोरी किया, this post office guy, he didn't have the good title on the negotiable instrument. But still Mr. X will acquire good title. Why? Because he has purchased it in good faith. He has received this check in good faith. So sir, that is the feature of negotiable instrument. Negotiable instrument के दो feature होते हैं. एक तो वो transferable होता है, दूसरा टाइटल जो होता है ना वो आपके प्रायर पार्टी के टाइटल पे डिपेंड नहीं करता है. मतलब यहां पे पोस्ट ऑफिस वाले बंदे का टाइटल बैड था. He didn't have a good title, but still Mr. X can acquire a good title if he purchased in good faith. That is the prior party का टाइटल. सर ये टाइटल वगैरह सर आपके इंडियन कॉन्ट्रैक्ट एक्ट और सेल्स ऑफ गुड्स एक्ट वगैरह से आ रहा है. टाइटल ऑफ गुड्स, ठीक है, ये सब आपको पता होना चाहिए फाउंडेशन के सिलेबस से. बहुत बेसिक है ये. बेसिकली टाइटल मतलब क्या? हक. टाइटल मतलब क्या? जैसे मैं ये बोल सकता हूँ ये फोन पे मेरा टाइटल है, मतलब क्या ये फोन मेरा है. आई हैव द राइट्स ऑन दिस फोन. सिमिलरली यू हैव द राइट्स, मिस्टर एक्स विल हैव द राइट्स डिस्पाइट दिस बीइंग फोर्ज्ड. पोस्ट ऑफिस के बंदे ने धोखा दिया, स्टिल मिस्टर एक्स विल हैव द राइट्स बिकॉज दिस इज अ क्रॉस चेक और नॉट अ क्रॉस चेक. इसमें कुछ लिखा नहीं है. बट सर द मोमेंट यू राइट नॉट नेगोशिएबल हियर ना, in that case Mr. X will not get a valid right. The moment you write not negotiable here, Mr. X will not get a valid right. It means that in a check, when you write the not negotiable, your title on that check is as good as the title of the prior party. मतलब Mr. X का टाइटल उतना ही अच्छा होगा जितना उसको जिसने दिया उसका टाइटल था. किसने दिया सर? पोस्ट ऑफिस वाले बंदे ने दिया, उसका टाइटल नहीं था. The post office guy didn't have any title. It was a forged signature. So Mr. X will also not get good title. तो सर Mr. X की क्या गलती है इसमें? What is the Mr. of Mr. X? Mr. X की गलती ये है कि Mr. X ना, he will, when he is receiving a checkbook, which has not negotiable written on it, he will look into the details of it. Or what he will do is, he'll say, give me without not negotiable. Remove the word not negotiable. Why do you have to write the word not negotiable? So he will ask, boss, remove the title, word not negotiable. So इससे होता क्या है सर? इससे होता usually ये है that despite, instead of writing account pay, if you write account pay, not negotiable na, although you can transfer it, but the other person will be a little scared to take it. So Mr. X को भरोसा नहीं होगा किसी भी चेक पे अगर वो not negotiable लिखा है. सर तो ICI क्यों लेगा not negotiable वाला? ICI ले लेगा because उसको directly issue हो रहा है. ICI will take it because directly issue हो रहा है. If a check is being directly issued to you and not negotiable is written, it is good for ICI. But now the other person to whom it is being endorsed, जिसको endorse होकर के जा रहा है ना, वो नहीं लेगा क्योंकि वो डर जाएगा. बोलेगा यार जो मेरे को दे रहा है उसका टाइटल अच्छा नहीं रहा तो, if he does not have a good title, I will not get the right title and hence he will not take it. Sir, then why do we do all these things? These things are basically to prevent fraud from happening. Fraud nahi ho, isliye you will have to take care of such things. So sir, these are the four types of negotiable instrument that crossing of checks that we discuss about. Sir, in my screen you can see on my screen you can see this thing. पढ़ो सर ये type of crossing एक बार read करो खुद से. I'm giving you 2 minutes. Read this type of crossing. Read the type of crossing. Just read the type of crossings. 4 टाइप का क्रॉसिंग है, पढ़ो आराम से. और और फिर नॉट नेगोशिएबल क्रॉसिंग के बारे में नीचे कुछ लिखा है वो पढ़ो। Sir, a very good question. What is the difference between restrictive crossing and not negotiable crossing? Restrictive crossing mein you are writing account pay, and not negotiable mein you are writing not negotiable. What is the major difference, sir? In account pay check, it is one, law does not recognize such check. अगर आप negotiable instrument देखोगे तो law does not recognize such check. It is a practically used check. But sir, account pay check में you can't endorse at all. You can't transfer that check. That check is meant for one person. You can't transfer it. In not negotiable check, you can definitely transfer it. You can definitely transfer it. But the only problem is that if बीच में कोई गलत काम करने वाले लोग आ जाते हैं ना, फोर्जरी वगैरह के टाइप की चीजें, इन दैट केस द नॉट नेगोशिएबल चेक में गुड टाइटल कैन नॉट बी पास्ड. सो नॉट नेगोशिएबल चेक में ट्रांसफरेबिलिटी होती है, बट जो नेगोशिएशन का की काम होता है, क्या है सर नेगोशिएशन का की काम? नेगोशिएबल इंस्ट्रूमेंट का the biggest feature of negotiable instrument is that the owner of that particular negotiable instrument has a good title if he has acquired it in good faith, but that will not hold true in case of not negotiable check. So दोनों में difference ये है, this is not transferable but this is transferable, but in this case this is negotiable as in sir negotiable in the sense आप good title pass नहीं, अच्छा not ये negotiable भी नहीं है वैसे तो ये ना ही ट्रांसफरेबल है ना ही नेगोशिएबल है. ये ट्रांसफरेबल तो है लेकिन नेगोशिएबल नहीं है. सर एक बार पढ़ो, मैं बताता हूं. आप जब पढ़ोगे ना तो एक लास्ट ये वाला जो लाइन है ना, ये ढंग से पढ़ना, ये मैंने अच्छे से समझा के लिखा है. सर नॉट स्टैट्यूटरीली रिकॉग्नाइज मतलब लॉ इस चीज को मान्यता नहीं देती है. लॉ डज नॉट रिकॉग्नाइज अ चेक कॉल्ड एज अकाउंट पे चेक. लॉ technically does not recognize the account pay check. Account pay check is something which businessmen have started and they have been using practically a lot. Okay. क्या लिखा है सर? अ चेक विथ सच क्रॉसिंग इज नॉट नेगोशिएबल बट ट्रांसफरेबल. नेगोशिएबल नहीं है बट इट इज ट्रांसफरेबल if the title of the transferor is defective. Transferor कौन है? The post office guy. If his title is defective, then the title of transferee will also be so. मतलब sir, in case of a negotiable instrument, usually if the title of the transfer is defective, but if the transferee has acquired it in good faith, his title will be good title. But in case of if the word not negotiable is written, then in case if the title of transfer is defective, then the title of transferee will also be defective. Thus the addition of the words not negotiable does not restrict the further transferability. आप ये नहीं कि आप further transfer नहीं कर सकते, आप बिल्कुल कर सकते हो, but it entirely takes away the main feature of negotiability. Negotiability का सबसे main feature चला जाता है, that is the holder with a defective title can give a good title to the subsequent holder in due course. मतलब सर जो होल्डर है ना वो गुड टाइटल नहीं दे सकता. भाई मेरे पास अगर पैसे होंगे तो मैं तुमको पैसे दूंगा, ठीक है, मेरे पास पैसे होंगे तो मैं तुमको पैसे दूंगा. द पोस्ट ऑफिस गाय इफ ही हैज गुड टाइटल ही कैन यूजुअली पास ऑन गुड टाइटल, बट इफ द पोस्ट ऑफिस गाय डजंट हैव अ गुड टाइटल, हाउ विल ही पास ऑन गुड टाइटल? बट नेगोशिएबल इंस्ट्रूमेंट में यू गेट टू पास ऑन गुड टाइटल. बट इफ अ चेक इज क्रॉस्ड एंड नॉट नेगोशिएबल वर्ड इज रिटन, दैट मींस यू कैन ट्रांसफर बट यू कैन नॉट पास ऑन गुड टाइटल. इफ योर टाइटल इज डिफेक्टिव, द सामने वाले का टाइटल विल ऑल्सो बी डिफेक्टिव. Did you understand? Yes sir, we understood. Let me see. Okay, protection अपन कल ही पढ़ पाएंगे और क्लासिफिकेशन ऑफ नेगोशिएबल इंस्ट्रूमेंट कल करेंगे अपन डिटेल में, ठीक है. सर वन लास्ट कॉन्सेप्ट आई वांट टू टॉक विथ यू, वेरी इजी कॉन्सेप्ट. नाउ हु कैन क्रॉस अ चेक? इफ यू हैव मेड अ चेक, हु कैन पुट द क्रॉस हियर? सर आई वुड से तीनों कर सकते हैं. ड्रॉअर कर सकते हैं, होल्डर कर सकता है, होल्डर मतलब जो आपका पेई है ऐसा समझ लो, एंड बैंकर भी कर सकता है. सर ड्रॉअर कौन है? ड्रॉअर मतलब whosoever is making the check, he can cross the check generally और specially, जैसा भी उसको ठीक लगे, he can cross the check. होल्डर जो है, होल्डर मतलब जिसको चेक मिला है, द होल्डर में क्रॉस, अनक्रॉस चेक को वो क्रॉस कर देगा. अगर कोई क्रॉसिंग नहीं थी, अगर जब ओरिजिनल जब ट्रांसफरर से आया तब यहाँ पे कोई क्रॉसिंग नहीं थी तो वो क्रॉसिंग कर देगा। अगर क्रॉसिंग थी तो उसको स्पेशली क्रॉस कर सकता है। मतलब जनरली क्रॉस था तो बीच में वो वर्ड लिख सकता है जैसे कि स्पेशली क्रॉस जैसे कि वो लिख देगा एसबीआई। वो मतलब होल्डर चेंज कर सकता है। तीसरा, इफ चेक इज क्रॉस जनरली और स्पेसिफिकली ही में ऐड द वर्ड नॉट नेगोशिएबल। मतलब सर होल्डर भी उसको नॉट नेगोशिएबल बना सकता है। मतलब सर फॉर एग्जांपल मैंने अगर आईसीआई को चेक दिया, आई गेव अ चेक टू आईसीआई विच वाज अ ब्लैंक विच वाज अ not a cross check, so ICI can cross it. Or if it was a cross check, ICI can add the word, specific banker ka name. Or what ICI can do is ICI can also write not negotiable word. Why ICI can do that? Because ICI may want to endorse that check forward. उसको अगर आगे check बढ़ाना है तो ICI can make those changes. Similarly by banker. By banker, a banker may also, when a banker is receiving check, it may also cross and uncross check. Or if a check is crossed generally, he may cross it specifically. Or where it is crossed specifically, the banker may again cross it specifically to another banker against his or agent for collection. Sir, इसका मतलब क्या है? What does that mean? It means that if I have issued a check, who issued? Shubham issued a check. Whom did it issue such check to? It issued it to Somesh. Now, if I have written here that SBI में ही पैसे जाएंगे and Somesh went to SBI bank. ठीक है, यहाँ पे चेक में क्या लिखा हुआ है? चेक में लिखा हुआ है एसबीआई में ही पैसे जाएंगे। तो नाउ दिस एसबीआई कैन फर्दर क्रॉस इट एंड राइट नहीं भाई एक्सिस बैंक में जाएंगे और ये चेक आप फॉरवर्ड कर सकते हो आगे। तो सर एक्सिस विल गो टू एसबीआई, एसबीआई विल गो टू एचडीएफसी बैंक, और Axis will directly go to HDFC Bank, and because it is crossed twice, then in that case it will be valid and it can go and collect. Did you understand, sir? Did you understand? But sir, otherwise ध्यान रखना, otherwise there can only be one name of the banker here, right? You cannot write SBI या Axis या IDBI से ले लेना, नहीं. You can only write one bank का नाम. अगर one bank का नाम नहीं लिख रहे हो तो कुछ मत लिखो, फिर जाने दो. बट अगर तुम दो तीन बैंक का नाम लिख दोगे ना तो दैट विल नॉट बी अ वैलिड चेक. सो सी, इफ यू राइट एसबीआई, इफ यू राइट एक्सिस and if you write HDFC together, it will not be a valid check. You can write only one banker ka name. That banker can further cross it and write one other banker ka name. That is allowed, but one banker cannot write 2-3 bankers ka name ek sath. So my HDFC bank I cannot write कि मेरे HDFC बैंक में तुम SBI, एक्सिस या HDFC से निकाला नहीं. You can only mention one bank account. तुमको नहीं पता कौन सा बैंक अकाउंट है, तुम कुछ मत लिखो. Don't write anything at all. But if you are writing at all, then write one bank का name. Sir, what if bank drawer intentionally didn't cross? See, crossing is not a problem at all, guys. Crossing is not a problem at all, and we are just giving a power to the bank. We are just giving a power to the banker to cross. So banker will not cross unless you tell them. Banker को आपने power दिया है बस. क्यों power दिया है? So that tomorrow say, imagine I gave the check to the bank. So for example, I gave the check to the bank, but then later I called him, अरे boss, वो cross कर दो, मैं cross करना भूल गया. So bank should have that power, no? So that is why they have given that power to the bank. It is not that if they have the power, they'll have to utilize it only. Sir, what is the legitimate proof, sir? Risk that payee can also do what banker can do, sir. Because boss, you are not doing anything wrong. By crossing a check, you are only making it more strict, right? You are only making it more strict. So everyone should have the power to cross. Cross करने से कुछ कम नहीं हो रहा है. Cross करने से कुछ ज्यादा ही हो रहा है. Because see, we are not giving them the power to cross it and write not negotiable. हम उनको ये पावर नहीं दे रहे हैं कि तुम क्रॉस करके अकाउंट पे ही लिख दो, नॉट नेगोशिएबल लिख दो. हम बोल रहे हैं या तो जनरली क्रॉस कर लो या स्पेसिफिकली क्रॉस कर लो, बस और कुछ नहीं करने बोल रहे हैं. सो प्लीज रिमेंबर, वी आर नॉट गिविंग देम पावर टू क्रॉस द चेक अकाउंट पे या नॉट नेगोशिएबल. वी आर गिविंग देम पावर ओनली टू क्रॉस इट जनरली और स्पेशली. जनरली मतलब क्या? सिर्फ बैंक अकाउंट में पेमेंट होगा. स्पेशली मतलब क्या? सिर्फ स्पेसिफिक बैंक अकाउंट में पेमेंट होगा. बट उसके अलावा यू आर नॉट गिविंग देम एनी पावर. ओके गाइस, दैट्स इट. I've taught you a lot of things, and there is nothing now that you cannot understand till what I have taught. So my homework to you is you guys will go home and you guys will have to read it till here. जो सेक्शन मैंने अभी पढ़ाया है, हु मे क्रॉस, उसके नीचे प्रोटेक्शन ऑफ लाइबिलिटी है, दैट यू डोंट हैव टू रीड. बट यहां तक तो आपको पढ़ के आना है इन द नेक्स्ट क्लास. आवर नेक्स्ट क्लास विल बी ऑन ट्यूसडे. उसके पहले यू विल हैव टू रीड बाय सैटरडे एंड यू विल हैव टू कम इन द क्लास. एंड ऑन सैटरडे वी विल ट्राई टू फिनिश दिस चैप्टर, बट हाउएवर आई थिंक चैप्टर खत्म नहीं हो पाएगा सैटरडे तक. तो आई विल स्पीक टू आईसीआई, आई विल आस्क फॉर एन एक्सटेंशन ऑफ टाइम, एंड ऑन दैट एक्सटेंडेड टाइम वी विल फिनिश आवर नेगोशिएबल इंस्ट्रूमेंट. ओके Sir, how to know to bank postman has a good title or not? Mohammed is asking, sir, if postman transferred it to Mr. X, how the bank will know whether the postman had good title or not? Mohammed, we will discuss that in the next class. And that is when this topic comes, protection of liability of paying banker. Bank will not know. Hence, if bank ends up paying, अगर बैंक पैसा दे देता है, एचडीएफसी बैंक अगर पैसा दे देता है, तो एचडीएफसी बैंक की लाइबिलिटी क्या है, कितनी है, वो अपन नेक्स्ट क्लास में डिस्कस करेंगे कि कैसे पता चलेगा कि फोर्जरी हुई है नहीं हुई है. ठीक है. अंकित, मैं यहीं बैठा हूं ना, सुबह 7 बजे मैंने बोला नोट्स अपलोड नहीं हुआ है, अभी मैं यहीं बैठा हूं ना, तो अभी मैं इसके बाद ही अपलोड कर पाऊंगा ना. Sir, if banker further, guys, this notes is not complete, हाँ, it is still work in progress. तो आप इतने पेजेस का प्रिंट मारो जितना मैंने आपको बोला है, यहीं तक का प्रिंट मारना, यहीं तक का प्रिंट मारना. सो आई टेल यू 1 2 3 4 5 पेजेस बस प्रिंट मारना, बाकी का बाद में प्रिंट मार लेना. Now, guys, thank you. जिनका हो गया आप लोग जा सकते हो. I really hope you enjoyed the lectures. Let me know how you find it because your appreciation is our motivation. तो बताना जरूर आपको कैसा लगा. और अपन ट्यूसडे की क्लास में पूरी कोशिश करेंगे जान लगा करके इसको खत्म करने की. बट आप घर पे पढ़ लेना प्लीज. आई विल ऑल्सो अपलोड द क्वेश्चन बैंक ईदर टुडे और बाय टुमारो. आई विल ट्राई टू अपलोड द क्वेश्चन बैंक जितना आपको सॉल्व करना है. सो प्लीज डू मेक श्योर दैट एटलीस्ट उसके फर्स्ट 8 क्वेश्चंस यू आर सॉल्विंग. क्वेश्चन 1 2, चलो क्वेश्चन 1 टू क्वेश्चन 5, बस ज्यादा लालच नहीं. क्वेश्चन 1 टू क्वेश्चन 5 यू आर सॉल्विंग. यू आर इन अ वेरी गुड पोजिशन टू सॉल्व. प्लीज डू सॉल्व एंड डू लेट मी नो योर फीडबैक्स एंड आई विल सी यू इन द नेक्स्ट क्लास. थैंक यू. जिनके डाउट्स नहीं है वो जा सकते हैं, और जिनके डाउट्स हैं अगर है तो रुक जाओ. अगर लगता है नहीं सर मैं पढ़ूंगा फिर मेरे को देखूंगा डाउट्स आते हैं क्या, तो आप लोग भी जा सकते हो. एंड आई विल सी यू ऑन ट्यूसडे. Thank you guys. Bye bye. Bye bye. Bye bye. Let's wait for 2-3 minutes. Let's see if students have doubts or else we'll conclude. आप बंद कर दिए क्या? Yeah, please. Thank you, Dimple. Thank you, Bimal. Thank you, Meman. Thank you, Rekha. Bye, Ankit. Bye. Chalo, guys. I think there are no questions, so we will drop and I'll see you on Tuesday. Bye bye. बंद कर दो सर.